is now live. Streaming games and demos. Free Build Friday. RX-0 Unicorn Gundam. Part 4.
Hello world, and welcome once again to Free Build Friday. As you probably read by the title, today I'm going to finish off my Master Grade RX-0 Unicorn Gundam, which, technically it's basically already done. Just got the accessories left to do.
Mister.
My bot's not doing a very good job today. Hey. So, there is the unicorn. Showed it off last time. It's fully built. Basically, all I've got left is the accessories. It's fully transformable into destroy mode. I've just got the gun, I think there's 2 guns, and the shield. Then I'm also going to build an action base, which I did bring down with me, did I not? I better have. Yes, there it is. Got an action base 4 to put it on. So, that should be good. Alright, introductions are out of the way. You know the drill here. I'm going to play some YouTube. I'm going to put this guy over here.
I've ever seen.
Weirdest unicorn you've ever seen? Yeah, well. Let me switch the camera angle here. He's called a unicorn because he's all white and he's got a horn. It's pretty self-explanatory. Oh, before I get too far into this, here is the non-transforming V-fin for the unicorn. I tried to paint the horns with my gold marker. I don't like how it came out, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the stickers on. Then I'll probably have to clear coat it. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I can get into the rest. And of course, right off the bat, it's going to be a pain in the butt. Lighting stickers is always fun, I say in massive quotes. Excuse me. Apologies. I mentioned that I love the unicorn just as a design. I think I've mentioned that a few times, like every single stream, because it's it's true. I haven't seen unicorn, but unicorn I think was like the turning point in my admiration of Gundam, just aesthetically. Like they all look the same. Like I liked G Gundam when it was airing. I didn't watch a whole lot of it, but I watched some of it. I was like, yeah, this is cool. But then I just see the visual of unicorn. I'm like, oh. That's fucking cool. So it goes from not looking like a Gundam to looking a lot like a Gundam, but still cool, so that did it for me. Let's get that all in all the grooves. Should be good. So how's everybody doing tonight? Eating well? Thriving? Barely holding on. Hope you're drinking enough water. I don't know why I'm asking this. But I do care about me compadres. Okay. So you get a transforming unicorn horn, which is
Apocalypse tasting lemonades.
watching Jello Apocalypse tasting lemonades. That sounds interesting. I don't know who that is, but I'm here for it. Maybe. Alright, so that's the horns done. Alright, let's get into the rest of this damn build. I think I might need a new gold marker. This one's kind of wearing out. Paint aligning the wings of Gal Icarus last year might have been all it was good for. Those would go in the back of the legs. I don't need those. That's for the shield. I do need that. That's the shield. That's the shield. Don't know what these go to. Let's take them out. Beam saber beams. And more gun bits. Not gun bits, but gun bits. And these are the stickers. Oof. I don't like the way it looks with those anyway. So much, I don't know. Not my aesthetic. I like the nice, clean look. That's how I vibe. No disrespect to people who do like to sticker up their kits, but it's just not me. Let's get some entertainment going as soon as I get all my pieces arranged. This is a D. I, N, and O. Let's get some entertainment going.
Rhinox. Teal. Rhinox. Teal. Maximize!
Yo, kung nandito ka sa channel ko, malamang sa malamang, legit ka 90s kid. Hello mga 90s, welcome back sa ating channel. This is Jay again, ang host ng Legit 90s Kid. This is the third toy that I'll be reviewing, and I would like to introduce to you Rhinox. This version of Rhinox was not released in the Beast Wars series, but is more of a toy version. I actually really dig this form, ang angas niya. This is the transmetal form of Rhinox. Kung mapapansin nyo, hindi siya purely organic. Just like other transmetal versions, this form of Rhinox has actually three forms. So mamaya i-review natin yan. So let us just have a quick overview and history of Rhinox. Si Rhinox is, as we all know, is a maximal. Isa siya sa mga naunang maximals na lumapag sa prehistoric Earth. So kasama si Rattrap, Optimus Primal, at Cheetor. If I'm not mistaken, apat lang sila noon. As the Beast Wars series moves forward in story, nadagdagan na nadagdagan ang mga characters. In terms of personality and character, Rhinox is actually more of a strategist. Siya rin ang mekaniko ng Axolotl and also the advisor of Optimus Primal sa kanyang mga military plans. In my opinion, I think Rhinox could match Optimus Primal in terms of hand-to-hand combat and power. Parang pinatangkin niya yung mga atake ng kalaban. Hindi siya masyadong nadadamage. Siguro dahil sa sturdy,
Showing the video.
powerful armor
So
plating.
you can see what I'm doing, what I'm watching.
Magagayon man, kahit na malakas siya, ang nature niya is actually a gentle type. So he's more like a gentle giant. So kung ikukumpara ko siya, parang he is more of like the beast of X-Men, matalino, strategist, and at the same time, loves nature and gentle as well. So parang siya ang X-Men Beast version ng Beast Wars Transformers. So yun nga, sa history ng Beast Wars Transformers, Rhinox did not have any transmetal form. Hindi ito nag-exist sa Beast Wars series. I'm not sure why, but perhaps dahil hindi siya natamaan ng quantum surge at that time. Kasi isa sa mga contributing factors para mag-transform ang isang Maximal or Predacon into a transmetal form. Rhinox is actually my favorite character in the Beast Wars series. However, dun sa continuation ng Beast Wars, which is Beast Machine Transformers, I really hated his character, I'm sorry to say. Medyo pangit yung character development niya kasi hindi man lang na-redeem yung character niya. Sa mga hindi nakakaalam or sa mga rin kalimot na sa Beast Machine Transformers, which is a sequel of Beast Wars, unfortunately, si Rhinox ay isa sa mga Maximals na na-infect ng virus ni Megatron, which turned him into a bad guy. So basically, yung spark niya ginamit ni Megatron so that it could be one of his minions. And that minion, his name was Tankor. Nung naging siya si Tankor, he went against the Maximals. Mas maganda siguro kung ginawa nila ng
build here.
story si Rhinox, which is similar to the redemption of Dinobot. So yeah, let's take a look at this transmetal form beast mode of Rhinox. So ayan, like I said, maangas siya. I really like this toy version of Rhinox. Front, ayan. Side, bottom, top, and then back. As you can see sa bottom, ito yung chest ni Rhinox. And has the Rhinox. So articulation naman sa beast form niya, head, it's not movable, it won't rotate. So on this form, ang tanging move mo lang is yung feet niya, which you could move 360, and this somewhat like joint here, mabubog mo siya sa 90 degrees. And this one, and sa feet, ganun din, merong limitation dito. Pero move siya almost 90 degrees. Ito lang yung pagpapagod sa kanya.
I'm not making this review. Sorry.
No, we'll like it. So that's the articulation for the beast mode. Let's...
Sorry, buddy. It's not really digging your style. Oh shit, Ultimate Blazer's out. Shit. I thought it aired on Saturdays for some reason. Because it airs on Saturdays in Japan. There's something. There it is. Anime Expo feels unsafe. That's not coming apart, is it? I-1619.
In the mid-2000s, Imagineers were left with a
This is not what I selected.
Tomorrowland did so.
Want to play the actual video I chose? $16.
So I had a ton of fun at Anime Expo, but also, oh my god. That's it, that's my intro. Hi, I'm Andrew watching Slow Entertainment. Today we are talking about AX or Anime Expo 2023 that took place this past weekend in the Los Angeles Convention Center here in Los Angeles. Near the Crypto.com Arena, formerly known as the Staples Center, that you all hate when I call it the Crypto.com Arena. I don't know what to tell you, that's the name. That's what the current name is. I didn't name it. I don't know why you get mad at me for just saying the name, okay? I didn't choose this. I'm just telling you where I went. Yes, I went to Anime Expo this weekend, and my nose is a little stuffed up right now, just from my allergies. I might sound a little wonky, but I am currently very surprised with how good I feel right now, because I was fairly certain that with the chaos and the density of Anime Expo, that I was going to leave with COVID, conflu, or a secret third thing. The secret third thing did end up being exhaustion. Everyone is concerned for me. And frankly, I'm surprised I don't suffer from that more often with my current chosen career path and how I choose to go about it. I think that's the funniest part about my stacking of my schedule. No one's making me do this, not even you guys. I just find things and I'm like, this will be good. And then I have weekends like this one where I do Anime Expo for 3 of the 4 days, a VTuber concert that I just went to, and then I drove to the Bay Area to go to a rave on a battleship before driving back and going to Anime Expo. No one's making me do that. That's just something that I did. And you all get videos out of it. So, like, I'm not the only one suffering. You guys get to suffer with me. But still. But I wanted to go to Anime Expo last year, and I just couldn't get tickets in time or something. I think they sold out before I was able to. And then I saw all of the footage and how they shut down the allowing people in at like 10:30, like 30 minutes after the expo hall opened. And I was like, damn it, I wish I was there. Because that's my bread and butter. I do thrive in chaos.
Oh,
I was very much disappointed that I was not there last year. And so this year, my friend Anarchy, who is a cosplay content creator, she was like, hey, we're probably going to get bonus tickets or free tickets from a brand, but in order to get the block of rooms at the hotel for the room rate, I need to have bought 1 or 2 general tickets. Do you want it if we can't use it? And I was like, absolutely. So that ticket that she sent me, which I'm going to pay her back for, even though it was like very up in the air, but I'm paying you back. Deal with it. The badge is about $160, and they did have lanyards on site for us, but I didn't know if we were going to get lanyards, so I just used an Intel one that I think I got from TwitchCon, honestly, because I just hoard these. The way that Anime Expo worked this year was that the first day was a Saturday. Now, previously my understanding is that usually the first day is a Friday, but because it was the first and all of that, they had it on Saturday. So I assume that's also why the first day was so insane, because it was a Saturday, so like no one had work or school. Technically, if they wanted to get the weekend off, they could probably more easily get the weekend off. However, last year was also insane, so I think they just need to stop overselling on Saturdays. Because of the insanity of last year, and because I was like, if they do shut things down, I absolutely have to make it inside. So I ended up getting in line at about 6:20 a.m. Even getting in line at 6:20, I was already like at the front of the crypto arena. That's how far away from the doors I was for I think it was the West Hall entrance. That's how far it was. So once they kind of opened up the gates for security, we kind of broke off into several lines. And then almost right at 9 is when they started moving us in. Once you are in the entry line, you should already have your badge. You walk up and you tap your badge onto the scanner. Now you have to activate your badge. I already ripped off the activation sticker, obviously, because the event's done. But you have to activate your badge so that they know that this is you. So they kind of know when you are and when you aren't inside. But also that's, I think, more so for how many days you get, because I believe there are also individual tickets. And so that's when they know like that you are able to get in on Tuesday, say, or what have you. So when I got inside, I grabbed a bag and one of the lanterns they had available, and immediately went to the bathroom because I'd been waiting outside for like 3 hours. And then I started walking towards the expo hall, and I passed Anarchy and Chris because they had been doing a brand thing with Hot Topic, and they were like, hey, we're gonna get our cosplays and we'll be back. I was like, cool. So I was like, I'm gonna go wander the expo hall because I love wandering expo halls. And Anarchy and Chris had warned me. They said, unlike VidCon, because they were at VidCon as well, they said, unlike VidCon, where there's not enough to do, there is so much to do at Anime Expo. Do not feel bad if you can't get to everything. And I was like, challenge accepted. Did I get to everything? No. Did I see everything? Mostly yes, because I'm crazy. So I was like, okay, I know I want to see the expo hall. I'll go to entertainment later. That is when the sardining really started for me, I would say. The line outside was crazy. I saw that, but because I was a little further up towards the front, it wasn't too bad. Getting inside, though, was bad. As I was waiting in this area, I was like really worried that I was getting sick because I was coughing so much. I just suddenly started feeling like I had a cough. And then I realized as I got out into the open air, no, I was just breathing so much dirty air. I'm small, okay? I'm 5'2", and most people here were taller than me for the most part. So I am basically right in the CO2 zone, okay? So I was breathing in so much dirty air. I think I was literally not getting enough oxygen, and that's why I was coughing. Because once I was out of this sardine-packed area, I was fine. So I do think I just was not getting enough oxygen, and I just was freaking out that I was sick because I was panicking. Side note, excuse me, sorry coming through, please. These are not difficult words to say, especially when you are in big cosplay or you are passing someone in a big cosplay. Sorry, can I get through, please? Thank you so much. Sorry, excuse me. We can still be polite. And there was multiple times where I was cut in line and I was just like, I'm so tired. I don't want to throw an elbow. And I get it. It's not a big deal, but cutting in line is just rude, okay? Don't be a dickhead. There's certain things that I just get so, I can't like be casual about, and I can't just be like, I'm gonna let that slide. I'm trying not to just be like, So one thing that I noticed specifically that I had a lot of issues with, I think, is the security breakup of this event. At a certain point, I don't think security is paid enough to deal with any form of opposition from a crowd, especially a crowd that is very desperate to get to a certain exhibit, a certain booth, a certain figure, a certain waifu pillow. Security has a job to do, and most of the time they're not paid enough to do it. I do want to make that clear. However, the way that they had security divided up in this event, I think was a very big mistake, because they had them mostly for crowd control, it seemed, which was already a massive issue. It's hard to do crowd control when you oversell tickets. You sold way too many tickets to day one, and I don't know what you thought was going to happen. It did get better. Day 2 is what I missed. I did not go to day 2. Anarchy and Chris told me it was still pretty bad, but slightly better than the day before. I did go the 3rd day. Slightly better, still pretty bad. And then when I went yesterday, Tuesday, the final day, it was basically just like my regular experience at the convention. Where certain areas it was bad, other areas it was pretty breathable, walkable. I had no issues. I could walk through without going like this, so I didn't have to touch anyone. But day 1 was insane. Because I am 5'2" and I can't see over most people's heads, I am mainly just kind of focusing on, okay, I need to get from point A to point B. And I don't fully always realize like the crowds until I'm in a higher up area. So like I have some footage of me, say, at the top of the escalator going down the stairs into an area and seeing the sea of people. It's hard to get that context when you're not up looking down. You know, in the moment, I feel like a lot of people have the same experience, especially if you've been in like maybe dangerous situations or things like that with crowds. You're just kind of focusing on, okay, I need to make sure I get from point A to point B without getting elbowed in the face. Is that a short person thing? Tall people, you guys don't worry about being punched in the face or elbowed accidentally, right? Huh? That's like my major thing. I'm like, oh god, they're gonna accidentally elbow me. Hold on, I gotta move. I'm gonna get swung on by accident. You know, like that's that's like in my concerning thoughts. Finally made it down to the expo hall, immediately went right and went to the far corner because I'm immediately like, let's not be at the front and go to the front. So the first day I barely went to like the first 2 front rows of stuff in the expo hall because that's where the lines were and the craziest parts were. That's where like a lot of the big companies were. That's where Crunchyroll was, Hot Topic, all of that. All these big companies were up front. And so I was like, we're not going to worry about that. We're going to get through as much as possible. So already I started walking through, seeing a lot of stuff and buying things because I'm a crazy person who's bad at saying no to my inner child now that I have YouTube money. My studio apartment is mad at me. I don't have space for these things. And before anyone questions it, no, I did not cosplay. I'm not against cosplaying. I've done costume videos on this channel before, usually around Halloween time. I don't think I did one last year. I did one the year before. I don't have a problem with cosplaying. It's just, it's another thing to take up my time, and I'm all over the place. So it's difficult for me to find time to cosplay. So then I went into the artist alley, and I got stopped a couple of times going to the artist alley. It was kind of funny because I was walking around with Chris and Anarchy at a certain point, and they were, each day did different cosplay.
Picture? Picture? Oh my god! You two look so good though.
And I want to share this moment because my dad and my IRL friends, that sounds stupid when I say it, but like friends that know me in real life, they always think it's very funny to mess with me when moments like this happen. Where someone mentions a comment about me being famous, I'm not, or the most known person there, I'm not. And then someone recognizes me the moment I'm like, no, I'm not. Shut up. You're being ridiculous. They always find it hilarious. So we were walking through the entertainment hall and Anarchy was like, oh yeah, no, you might be like the most well-known person here because like a lot of the voice actors and stuff that are like for well-known characters, like a lot of people don't know what they look like or like things like that, or they're not here because of X. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, that's ridiculous. Please. Like this is like a massive event. There's massive, you know, like voice actors and cosplay creators here. Like I'm not the biggest person. And like as we're walking, all of a sudden we go, swell. Can I get a photo? And Anarchy's just like, I love being right. I love being correct. Luckily, my anxiety prevents me from getting a big head and being a complete asshole because sometimes you guys tee me up to just have the biggest ego. I do get how a lot of YouTubers become absolute psychopaths. I am a psychopath just in a different way. I went into the artist alley and I always joke that like I've come to the realization that, and I heard this from another actual cosplay couple we'll talk about in a second as well, because they gave me a story that I have to tell you. I've come to the realization that I am almost always recognized in an artist alley because I make good background noise content, and artists like having something that they can just kind of have on while they are doing their artisty thing. So without fail, I always get recognized by one, at least, person in the artist alley from a booth. Sure enough, there was a few of you. But also the artist alley and the annex are massive, both of which are underground. Now I was told that the ventilation this year was much better. However, it was multiple times while I was down there that it was very hard to breathe and very hard to move. Anarchy did mention that it was more difficult this year, she thought, because the rows were actually further apart. So like what it was is there was like row A, row B, okay? And they kind of had arrows down to kind of hopefully do like this, where they wanted you to go like that. But obviously, if I'm over here and I see something nice on the other side, I'm just going to go over to the other side and go look at another booth as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard that when you don't have enforcement in that area, it's hard to basically maintain that with like stuff on the ground when even I, at 5'2", closer to the ground and closer to hell, can't see the tape. I can't see it because there's too many people walking, moving. I'm moving too quickly. I'm trying to make sure I don't get elbowed by someone in a pyramid head costume, you know, or poked in the face by their big thing. There's a lot of hazards at these events. I'm not going to be looking at my feet most of the time. So that's where you have security or people doing crowd control. I feel like I walked away from my point later. Sorry, I'm exhausted about the security situation. So what happens at a lot of these events is when I'm recognized, someone's like, okay, are you having fun? But also let me tell you about what happened with me or what I saw or what I heard, like, which is great. I love that. Give me the download. You know that new Hot Ones meme with Jennifer Lawrence where she's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? That's me, but like excited. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Tell me what happened. What do you mean? That's me. Tell me everything. That's great. I love it. I want to hear it. The amount of reports I heard about theft from the artist alley and the expo hall, not just during hours, but after hours, is ridiculous. Now, artist alleys, unfortunately, it's not uncommon for things to get stolen, especially when you have like a big display and then you're like talking through a window, whether for COVID reasons, safety reasons, what have you. It's not uncommon for someone to walk up and swipe something and walk away. That's something that happens, unfortunately, and that's why a lot of artists have their like actual samples taped down and then their actual product is behind there. There was multiple reports of people getting things stolen from the artist alley, that they would come in the next morning and their stuff would be gone or things would be pilfered through. There was a few instances of certain displays being like knocked around, like certain people's displays were broken or damaged in some way. And that's after hours. So that's either like an exhibitor pass, someone working the event, or like security getting, so it's like, why do you mean you're not patrolling these areas at night when you have this amount of stuff in this area? And a lot of people don't value artists. They don't value art in general. So I'm assuming that's part of the reason why they may not have someone like, oh, we locked the doors, that's fine, and don't think about anyone that could potentially be working there or have access to these rooms. I also heard there was one report, Vina of the Valley, who was in the fashion show. She commented that some of her samples were taken from like the backstage area for the fashion show. A couple of people in the expo hall, apparently one of them, they had literally like a room built basically in their exhibitor backstage area, where they literally had a deadbolt to keep all their stock in. And someone had straight up broken the deadbolt, like posted the photo of the broken door to get in and steal like two samples that had been sold out. Like went in and dug exactly, knew what they wanted. Apparently Faku as well, one of the 18 and up booth sections, they had a suitcase stolen, and then people think that might have just been like so they could go and grab other stuff from other places because a bunch of people were missing stuff. Regardless of what you think of like anime stuff, memorabilia, body pillows, figurines, Legos, nano figurines, things like that. This stuff is valuable and there is a lot of value to it. And there are people who will steal it, okay? And so to not have any form of night security patrolling what is a massive area, and if you did have night security, I hope it's more than one, because when I say that the entire convention center area was used for Anime Expo, this was CES for weebs. That's what this was, okay? The whole convention center was utilized for Anime Expo. You better have more than one or two security guards patrolling that area at night, I'm hoping. And they should be patrolling. There's just that sounds severe, but there's too much stuff, there's too much stock, there's too much money in these booths. And I'm assuming, because most conventions are like this, that people paid for their spots. And so that's why people got better spots, because they paid more, things like that. So yeah, if I had a booth there, I would hope that you are patrolling the area and guaranteeing that my product is being protected when I'm not there, when I'm not in my booth, because I'm trusting you as an exhibit. The amount of theft I heard is actually ridiculous, and that is something that I would not be surprised if people, complain or file reports or things like that, because that's ridiculous. The air in the artist alley and the annex was usually the artist alley. The annex was a little more opened up because they were bigger booths, a little more spaced out. They were in the same area. Both were underground in Kentia Hall. I want to say Kentia, sorry. Did I say it the same fucking way? Yeah, I just broke up the T. But it's below the expo hall area, so it's underground. So already you have an air issue, okay? So you have to have the air going, the ventilation going. What would be happening is that when you were actually in the spots where the booths were, it was very hard to breathe. And then you would be in the hallway down the center or off to the side where the autograph area was also, and then the annex was, and it would be cold, okay? It would be freezing. So I don't know what's the better way to do that, because I'm assuming you spread out the booths more for accessibility purposes. I'm assuming it was to either fill up the space more and like, okay, we've had a lot of crowding last year, so we'll make it wider for more people to be able to breathe and move around, so they'll follow the arrows that we're not enforcing whatsoever. Or it was someone saying, I couldn't get my chair through this area, which I think is a very valid complaint to make, because there was a lot of issues. Talked to a couple of people who had some issues with the accessibility situation. But then again, it's like, if I was having problems breathing, anyone who was in a chair probably was having a worse time breathing, because they're even lower, there's even less clean air in there. Like, I don't know how to necessarily fix that. The only thing I can really necessarily think of that would work for that would be, again, less people. Like, you clearly have an attendance issue in that you are selling too many tickets. You got to figure this out. You got to cap the amount of tickets that can be available to be sold. You got to cap the number of 4-day tickets, because there was a lot of 4-day tickets. And I know people are going to be mad because, oh, they sell out every year. Clearly, this is not working. This is a hazard. The fact that no one's dead, you're so goddamn lucky. Have you seen any of these clips from the top floor looking down at the escalator? That's insane. That's like someone gets stepped on and then they're gone. Thankfully, there was not crowd crush that I experienced or that I heard about. But like at any moment, if something bad had happened, if there was a weapon, if there was anything, and yes, they did a weapons check. Obviously, I didn't go over there because I never had a cosplay weapon, but Anarchy and Chris had to go there once or twice. Like, easily this could have become a problem if there was literally one inciting incident that made people panic. And this could have become immediately, it was already a health hazard, this could have become deadly if there was one catalyst that would make people panic. I just think that that's something that we prevent now before future years happen, and then it's a problem, okay? And then you have people injured or dead on your hands. So I think you gotta count attendance, at least for the first 2 days. I think you gotta figure something out. You gotta limit it. Day 4 was bad, but not, it was much more doable. You know what I'm saying? I was much more easier for me to move. There's a few photos that I took where you can see the crowd and things like that, but like it was not nearly as bad.
So there's a big sub panel behind me. It's $3,000. The guy is like, cheaper than Louis Vuitton. Please help take me home. I'm good, but thank you. That's certainly a tactic.
So typically what I would do on days 1 and 3 is I went straight to the expo hall to try and get in and get things before the lines got too crazy. Clever. But day 4 I was like, you know what, I'm going to start in the Annex and the Artist Alley. And I'm really glad I did that because I could really actually move around and take my time. It did fill up very, very quickly, unfortunately. But I had a much easier time going through the aisles and looking at things, and I bought a lot of things, which was really nice. I was excited. I bought some noodle stickers that look like noodles, like a noodle pack stickers.
Am I supposed to go on the other side? I don't really see anything.
Day 3, I was like, I gotta go see some panels, so I didn't get a chance to see any panels on day 1. A couple I could not get into, so they had clearing rooms and non-clearing rooms. Clearing rooms is that the panel beforehand ends, and then they clear out the room so that the line of people that was waiting to get to the next panel can get in, and everyone else still has to leave. Whether you were there before and you want to see the next one, you have to leave. If it's a non-clearing room, if you came for the first panel, you don't have to leave before the second panel. So there was quite a few big events or panels that me, Anarchy, and Chris wanted to see that we couldn't get into because like we were literally in the priority line because I just tagged along with them with their industry badges and or exhibitor passes. Like even the priority line did not make it inside because no one had left the room. Like there was only 10 seats and we were like 15. We went to a cosplay, Cheap, Fast, and Dirty, I believe. And that was from Ikasu, which is a cosplay couple.
So the other average that we do, the average of me getting bored and frustrated and just quitting something is 2 weeks. If I spend more than 2 weeks on a costume, I'm done.
That was cool. It was very exciting because like as someone who likes cosplay but doesn't do a whole lot of cosplay in my free time, that was very interesting. But I had to leave because I was like, okay, I need to go to at least the Maid Cafe or the Butler Cafe. And the Maid Cafe was sold out, so I got a ticket to the Butler Cafe. That cost me. General admission was $30.25. And then I got a $10 photo, so in total I paid $42.71, but I did not get the photo. Oops, my bad, I forgot. I was like, I need to review one of these things because that's like very like Anime Expo. I should go into like one of these events because it's like an add-on like paid event for this, and I knew I didn't go to Holo Live, I didn't go to a couple of the other things that were connected to Anime Expo for the night show, so I was like, this will be good. As we were leaving the Ikasu panel, apparently one of them said bye swell as I was walking out, and I didn't hear them. I kept walking, and then we got outside and Anarchy was like, why didn't we stop? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I gotta go, I've got my time slot. And she was like, no, like they said bye swell, the panelists said bye swell. I was like, no, we didn't. And she was like, yeah. And so I felt really bad because I was going to go inside, but then I had to get to the Butler Cafe. And so we decided we were going to go back. But basically, my hearing is so goddamn damaged from the Instagram party from VidCon that I swear to God, I heard nothing. Someone speaking into a microphone, I did not hear them because I was in the back of the room. Take care of your hearing, kids, because once it's gone, it's gone. Then I went to the Butler Cafe, and we are not allowed to take any photos or videos inside the Butler Cafe, which I think is fair. But I have proof that I was there because I bought the Butler Cafe cookie, and I'm glad I bought these because they sold out. So here's my proof that I was there. You can only buy these inside. I have not eaten it yet. Should I eat it? Butler Cafe. You can see it's a little faded. This is from 2 days ago now. Once you're inside the Butler room, there's a bunch of tables. 10 people to table. I was the solo person, so I had to go with a group of people. They wait for your 10 people to get lined up, and then they have 2 butlers come over and escort you to your table. We had 2 guys, and apparently this is not common. Both of our butlers were different performers. So there was the dance performer who was one of our butlers, and then we had a drummer who was in the butler band for the butler cafe. Mostly they said like, okay, normally there's like 1 performer for your butler table, but you guys get 2. Yay! So an hour slot in the last show of the afternoon, and then they did have an after dark show, but that one did sell out very quickly. We have the ability to go and buy more snacks and food and things like that. I bought a bag of gummy bears because I was on 2 hours of sleep, and the cookie, so I had the cookie for proof. Then a few other people at my table got like snacks and things like that. And then we played a game to kind of eat up time. And we play A, B, C, D, or whatever it's called. But it's like A, B, C, D. And basically one person's the dealer. And they go 1, 2, 3, B. And then if you're matching them, you've lost and there's a punishment. And we would bang on the table and go punishment, punishment, punishment. And then you would have to do something goofy, like an action or something. When I lost, I had to do flossing at one point. And so there's one guy who kept losing. And so we also did the Naruto Sasuke meme. So I yelled Naruto, he yelled Sasuke, and he was like, let's just whisper it. I was like, no. We're committing. I feel bad a little bit because, like, I don't care. This kid clearly did. That was just kind of to eat up time, but then also throughout that, there was multiple dance numbers. And I'm not just talking like they're doing, like, the Macarena up there. I mean, they're doing full choreographed dance numbers. Like, there are flips and stuff. They're doing kick flips. Like, they're doing full choreographed dance numbers. It was very good. I wish I could have filmed it because it was very impressive. And then they did a few songs. They did an Oron High School Host Club song. They did a song from Chainsaw Man. They did a song from another romance anime that I'm forgetting the name of right now. They were like sleeper hit of the summer. I was like, oh, okay, get to look that one up. So basically, though there are like these 2 groups, like this, the dancers and then the band, pretty much all of the butlers are doing clapping. There's like the certain chorus song bits they're doing, and then sometimes there is a dance where like they all also line up at the front and do dances as well. It was very cool and very exciting. We were in the back and we could still see everything, which was nice. Oh yeah, at the start, I should point this out as well, because I thought this was actually hilarious. So they go through the rules basically of what the deal is. So the rules, 1 is no photo and video, obviously. 2, the butlers are basically robots. They are Roombas. They will go back into their charging ports. They do not exist outside of this room. So you cannot ask them to what time they get off work. You cannot ask them personal information, and they will do the same for you. They will not ask any of that as well. That's very valid. And then also do not touch the butlers. If you want a high five, ask for a high five, things like that, but do not touch them. They will not do that type of thing. And then the head butler said consent is kawaii. And I love that. Just, yeah, musical songs and dance. And then they were like, does anyone else like K-pop? They did one song. I don't remember which group it was. Apologies. I'm a casual K-pop enjoyer. I'm not super, I don't know all the different groups and things like that. They did one song and they were like, oh, does anyone want to dance and do this one song? And so one guy raised his hand. Some people were like, he's a plant. I don't think he was a plant because there are people who love to do this, okay? There are people who are like, I've never played the piano before. Like, there are people that do that, okay? And so I think this dude was just one of those people. They were like, oh, does anyone want to do this dance? And this guy got up and they were like, okay, yeah, Dino, like, just don't worry about matching all the moves. Just, like, follow us along. And it was one of the choreographies from one of the songs for a K-pop group. And sure enough, he gets up there, and he's not only on beat, he is eating these butlers up. Oh my god, he was so good and so solid that someone could say he was planted, but he was too good to have been planted. You know what I'm saying? Where he's better than the butlers, and they were doing great, but like you could tell this was a practice in my bedroom type of person. That's what we were looking at. So that was very cool and very fun. And everyone was losing their minds. That was very fun. And then at the end, they were like, okay, unfortunately, that is the end of our show. And if you had bought a photo, which I hadn't, I forgot, you go over there. Unfortunately, we're not doing any on-site photo sales because we got hundreds of pre-orders for the photos. So we don't have the time to do, like, on-site sales. So basically, it was if you bought, so I could have gotten a photo. I just didn't. Oops, my bad. Okay, anyway. Very fun. Would definitely do it again. I think that was a fun little afternoon experience. Fun little show. Nice to go and sit down. The room was freezing. They did apologize for how cold the room was, but it was fine.
The job of the Norm their cosplay friends at Anime Expo. I'm designated phone holder.
It looks almost like the
Oh,
World
yeah.
Congress
So
Center. It's
finally,
weird. I mean, I
day
guess
four
convention
yesterday,
venues have that look to
finally was
them.
able to go over to the Ikasu booth. They were cosplay senpais. So we went over there and I was like, I want to go and like apologize and say that I didn't hear them. We tried to go there the day before, but they were judging a contest at that time. So Ikasu is Siler and Darling. That's their names. Siler was telling me, he was like, yeah, they met our person, their friend, who's like what I was doing for Anarchy and Chris. That's what this girl was doing for them. Like their little cosplay assistant, basically. I don't know if that sounds insulting. I thought it was a fun little, like, I'm the cosplay assistant, I'm holding the phones. But apparently, the day before, when they were not at the booth, they were at a panel, she had texted them, like, there's a fight next to the booth. Allegedly. But she said this happened, and apparently, like, security got involved and all this stuff, but I have not seen any video, and I have not seen anyone else talk about this, but this was in the entertainment hall. Allegedly, what had happened was that a guy was being a creep and took a photo of an underage girl in her cosplay and was, like, zooming in on her body and stuff. This girl's father caught him and said, delete that photo right now, and was, like, standing over him. And this guy opened his phone to go and delete the photo, like, yeah, sure, sorry, I didn't know, that type of thing. Deleted the photo, but as he was doing that, the dad saw that his camera roll was full of photos of other underage girls at the convention, so the dad just started beating his ass.
Good.
Honestly, I'm on the dad's side. I am very much for beating the crap out of creeps. I'm for it. That's a small entertainment endorsement of a bunch of creep today, okay? So apparently, the head of talent there, who was like my height, tried to get involved and got elbowed in the face, so then this person had to go and get security. But this is like a whole thing. It was like a whole-on fight, and there's no footage. No one filmed. I get it. Not everyone's me, but like, I love watching creeps get punched in the face. Why do you think I do the YouTube boxing stuff so much? So yeah, that's all alleged because I have no actual proof of it, but that does not seem outside the realm of possibility because the amount of creeps that I did experience, not even myself, but like witnessed. So it was less anarchy and more Chris. Guys love Chris, and especially in his Cat Noir costume. At one point, Anarchy went to the bathroom, and I was standing with Chris, and we were just talking, and the amount of guys that were like, oh my god, Cat Noir, can I have a photo with you? All of that, which most people ask, which is good. It's kind of like with DragCon, where there was posters saying like drag is not consent, ask for a photo. Same thing here, cosplay is not consent, ask for a photo. If someone says no, be respectful, things like that. Oh yeah, there was a few times that the app would send out notices like, hey, alert, there's this thing, but then you wouldn't, when you clicked the alert, okay, so like here it shows up as Neon District prohibited items and restrictions, but basically this first part is all that would come through for the alert. Due to high volume of people attending our main events, the following should be noted for safety and in accordance with Fire Marshal Code. So that would be the notification, but then you would click on that and it wouldn't lead you to an actual notification in the app. So basically, this is what I mean, where all it would take is something like this, who people think, oh my god, I'm going to be kicked out of this event because of this, and then there's a rush in the crowd. You know, like this is where your alert system needs an update. You need to have less people there. Like, thankfully, the second one came through another like 20 minutes later that actually had a list of like, basically these are things that are not allowed for the Neon District and all this stuff. I really did have a good time. I really want to make that abundantly clear. As always, I usually have fun at these things because I go into these events determined to have a good time. If I am bored as someone who is still determined to have a good time, then I know there's a massive issue with the event. There were just multiple times where I did not feel safe, and I'm someone who will find a way to feel safe at these events because I am crazy. The multiple times where it's like, you look at this footage and you're like, oh my god, this is giving me claustrophobia as you are looking at these clips. Like, this is not good. It's like on day 3, there was more security outside doing crowd control than there was in the actual expo hall, still directing the flow of traffic or anything like that. Like, you guys were more active on making sure that people were not sitting against the back walls than you were with making sure that no one was like being a complete asshole on the actual aisles of the event. I just think overall, I really think you guys need to cut the amount of people that you allow in on day 1 or the amount of 4-day tickets in general. Because obviously, if you're gonna get a 4-day ticket, you're more likely to skip the final day than you are to skip the first day. So you have to put a cap for the first day. You just have to, I think. It's too crazy. All right, it's already a massive convention center. More space will not solve this problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things. Like, having things more spread out just makes it so that you have more bottlenecking situations. So they tried to, like, close off certain directions, but, like, it wasn't doing well because then you cause a panic, and then you cause a gap, a bottleneck, and then It's a problem. We need to fix it. How do we fix it? Less people allowed on site. That's the main thing. Also, lack of communication. Lots of issues with security, not knowing dick. And that's not security's fault. That is the event's
14,
fault. You need to communicate with
13,
security staff. I don't care if they were
11.
hired day of. They should be able to know literally everything. Give them a packet, something. Have them on call, something, okay? I heard people saying like, oh no, we're an exhibitor and I was not allowed into my exhibitor space early, things like that, stupid things like that. That should not be happening. Oh, this badge gets into X, Y, and Z. Why are they not being allowed into Y and Z? That should not be happening. ADA situations. If you have an ADA pass, they should be able to get to where they need to go. Security should know that if someone comes to a wheelchair, hi, where should I go? They should know exactly where to direct them in a way that is safe and not condescending as shit. That's just me. I know that's tone policing, but fuck. It's just, all in all, I had a good time. And I want to make that very clear. And it was very nice meeting all of you. And it was very nice to go and buy things for my inner child. Very fun. I got this shirt. I don't think I can show you any more of it because her tits are barely covered. They're covered, but they're barely covered. I might do Weebs Love Me, Fish Fear Me because the amount of people that came up to me at this event was very funny. Also, there's now this conception that I don't like anime and that I'm now entering into my anime art. I do like anime. It's just one of my hobbies that I don't make half my personality, unlike some of my other hobbies that I make my entire personality. So I do in fact watch anime. I would go again. I really think that if you do want to buy a day one pass, the amount of people that I saw that said just day 4 or Tuesday or whatever pass is, honestly, if you want less people there, I think that's the way to go. Yes, there's going to be less stock. Yes, there's going to be probably less samples available, less free stuff because most of it's going to be gone already. It was much less crowded day 4. Less people go. So I do recommend that if you are very much worried. It's still going to be bad. It's not going to be perfect, but it's much more doable. All right, I had a much easier time on Tuesday than I did day 1. That's really going to be it.
14,
Have you been to
13,
Anime Expo?
11.
Did you see me at Anime Expo? Did I miss you at Anime Expo? Don't be bothered if you didn't see me because that was a massive convention. And people that I know who I see at every single event who were also there, we never ran into each other one time. So like you not knowing I was there and then not seeing me, that's all right. You're okay. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's just that it's a massive convention. Reminder, I have a podcast, the Swell Shenanigans Podcast. Reminder that Swell Entertainment is now on Spotify. This episode will be available tomorrow on the Spotify. Reminder, I have merch. You might get Weebs Love Me, Fish Fear Me today. I think that'll be fun. Shout out to my Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting my Patreon. You can also support my Patreon. I'll list it down below. Like to on social media. That'll be all here. And that's going to have a lovely day. Goodbye.
This goes under the there. It's just
Could I
about
make consent is kawaii? Consent is kawaii. Thank you, Amy, Andrew, Alan, Awful, Aslan, BJ, Cameron, Christopher, Chris, Crispy, Crash, Shannon, Tori,
So it doesn't hold anything in, it's just a handle to hold the gun by, I guess.
Ghostly, Hopeless, Homer, Jay, Incognito, Jasmine, Joe, John M, Jordan, Joseph, Kenny, Kim, Kristen, Lauren, Lamb,
The
Leah, Lex,
the
Lisa,
magazine
Luis,
for this
Wes,
one.
Fallon, Matt, Matthew S, Memeward, Minute,
Essentially
Michael, J, Michael T,
19.
Micah, Nathaniel, Pat, Penn, Pink, Philip, Richard, Rob, Rosie, Red, Robert, Ross, Ryan, Sam, Serena, Skylar, Simon, Tasha, Timothy, Heavenly, Plastic, Tyler, Tenzin, Tom, Thomas, Qwerty, Victor, Randy, Winter, Will, Wendy, Williams, and Reese Wing.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go to AX someday. I kind of doubt it. It's just first of all, it's on this side of the country, and it's also just all that stuff she described. So yeah. That's basically the end frame done. There's 2 more. I can make more. I can make a couple more, 2 more magazines. It looks like. Does it want me to? Yeah, I can. Okay, it wanted me to make 3. I didn't even catch that. Now, what view time video is this? Monster Inc.
Tokyo Disneyland needed a... In the mid-2000s, Imagineers were left with a challenge. Tomorrowland at Tokyo Disneyland needed a new attraction, and guests were practically demanding a Monsters Inc. presence in the resort. How do you take a franchise, one that is 3 years old and already has a relatively lackluster dark ride in California, add interactive elements, a concept that has seemingly been done to death at hundreds of theme parks around the world already, and make it feel fresh and unique? Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek was their answer to this problem, and it worked. At a cost of 10 billion yen, or 123 million US dollars, this was no ordinary interactive dark ride. It was a new experience built from the ground up, packed to the brim with detailed animatronics, special effects, and charm that easily makes it one of the best interactive dark rides in the world. And for a time,
Sailor
it thrown
Zombie
Caboose
Esther.
Honey Hunt as the most popular attraction at
Fighting the
Tokyo
urge to
Disney
bake a
Resort.
funfetti and red velvet
Unlike
marble
the
cake.
other Monsters Inc.
Do it.
Ride and Go Seek is situated inside
Do
a
it.
beautiful replica of the factory from the film, and goes above and beyond in typical Tokyo Disney Resort fashion. But an attraction based on Monsters Inc. might seem odd in Tomorrowland, especially in Tokyo's version of the Magic Kingdom. But with additions such as the Pan-Galactic Pizza Board, a restaurant that features a large audio animatronic pizza-making machine
Sailor
operated by
Zombie
a
Esther.
whimsical alien creature named
You
Tony
are not
Salaroni, Tokyo Disneyland's Tomorrowland
I'm not trying to.
is very
Do it.
to be a showcase of an idealistic tomorrow. Instead, it opted for a more science fiction fantasy theme, which better ties together the various outlandish and vaguely futuristic attractions throughout the land. Opening on April 15, 2009, Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek is a relatively new addition to the resort. But long before Monsters set up shop, this area of Tokyo Disneyland was populated by an
Sailor Zombie
attraction
Esther.
known as Meet the World.
Fine.
Opening at the park in 1983, Meet the World is a rather prestigious attraction that most Western Disney park goers have never heard of. Designed by famed Imagineer Claude Coates, who worked on Pirates of the Caribbean, It's a Small World, Carousel of Progress, and Horizons, to name a few, this 19-minute-long animatronic show explored the history of Japan with a specific focus on their engagement with the outside world. Despite being planned as the Japanese analog of the American Hall of Presidents attraction, Meet the World shared many similarities with Disney's iconic Carousel of Progress at Walt Disney World. The show featured a theme written by the Sherman Brothers and was presented in a rotating theater. But interestingly, Meet the World was backwards. The Carousel of Progress has guests facing inwards, rotating around an inner circle of stages, whereas Meet the World instead rotated guests on the inner circle and had the stages on the outside. This layout meant less audience capacity, but a larger stage area to work with. The elephant in the room, though, is that certain politically sensitive issues, such as World War II, were noticeably underemphasized in the show. It did mention that there were some dark days between the Meiji Restoration and the Japan of today, but this left Disney management feeling nervous about possible reactions from guests, with such a dramatic and historically significant conflict being summarized as Dark Days. Despite all of this, a version of this attraction was at some point planned to go to Epcot, but this ultimately never happened. Meet the World was one of the few attractions in the park that actually focused on Japan, because the owners of Tokyo Disneyland, Orient Land Company, specifically wanted the park to
I'm
highlight
getting
the
cake.
American way
Yay,
of life
cake.
and the American parks. The attraction
Okay,
eventually
that's the
closed
bazoo-
on
the
June
Hyper
30th,
Bazooka.
2002, and was demolished to
The
make
barrel
way for
extends.
Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek in 2006. The film release of Monsters Inc. in 2001 was extremely popular in Japan. But despite this, Monsters had next to no presence at the Tokyo parks. Understanding that the Japanese public had a desire to embrace the warm, friendly characters that populated the film, Imagineers focused on the storytelling aspect of the film to help it fit into Tokyo's Magic Kingdom. They took inspiration from traditional dark rides such as Peter Pan's Flight and Snow White's Scary Adventures, but wanted to raise the bar on the experience, putting an emphasis on placing guests within the story instead of being passive observers to the happenings around them, which is where the experience of Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek begins. Our story begins where Monsters Inc. left off. Humans are no longer considered harmful, and laughter is discovered to be far more powerful than screams. Walking up to the Monsters Inc. show building, you're greeted with a new slogan: "It's laughter we're after." Various posters alongside the exterior inform guests about Flashlight Tag, an upcoming activity that's fun for the whole family and is taking place right within the factory. This introduces the ride's interactive system that is similar to what you've likely experienced on Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, but there are some important differences that we'll get into, making this a unique experience in itself. Entering the queue, you're immediately immersed into the world of Monsters, Inc., with an incredible recreation of the facility's lobby. Above guests are two immense murals depicting the human world and another showcasing the factory and its workers. Throughout the queue, there are many screens introducing the flashlight mechanics of the ride. After learning how to play, guests are ushered into security vehicles that have been equipped with individual flashlights, and you enter the inner sanctums of the factory. It should be noted that the entire experience is narrated in Japanese. Sully has brought Boo back into Metropolis in hopes that she will join in the flashlight tag. Intending to explore rather than play, Boo lets out a giggle, which makes the lights flicker. Turning the corner, guests find Randall has returned from the human world and is determined to capture Boo to extract her screams. Your vehicle moves to face a window overlooking all of Monstropolis at night. Mike stands near a giant switch where he pushes it down, turning off all of the lights in the city and the factory, and the flashlight tag begins. To play, you need to direct your flashlight towards the helmets with the Monsters Inc. logo scattered around the factory. Upon hitting one of these helmets, it'll light up and a ding sound will be heard. Unlike Buzz Lightyear, guests don't collect points, but instead the flashlights trigger many practical effects throughout the attraction. We won't go through every effect because there are hundreds of them, but we will cover the most notable. Turning into the bathroom, Sully can be heard searching for Boo with his flashlight. Hitting the helmet near Sully reveals Boo underneath some towels alongside Randall, who is hiding nearby. Heading past Roz's office, we enter the laugh floor, which has been renovated with bright and colourful decorations. Mike can be found stuck in a jam between a hanging door and the arms of Smitty from the film, who is desperately trying to pull him back as Needleman fiddles with the control panel. Leaving the laugh floor, we again see Randall, who is trying to capture Boo with some cupcakes, but they're instead being eaten by another monster. You'll find as well that many monsters featured within the film are featured within this ride. We now leave the factory and enter the streets of Monstropolis, which is huge, where it appears that the entire city is also taking part in the game. Here you're overwhelmed with many visual gags and effects, including a disappearing Randall achieved with a simple ghost effect. It's difficult to explain the sheer scale of this scene, but it is immensely impressive. Leaving the streets, we enter Harryhausen's sushi restaurant, featured in the Monsters film.
Magazines for that, let's build the shield.
Takeout boxes, and strangely enough, Mike can be found with his girlfriend Celia, where he's apparently completely okay with guests repeatedly dunking his partner in water. We then re-enter the streets with more fun effects, such as a giant monster attempting to hide behind underpants, and Mike being electrocuted by a lamp after another monster lifts him into the air. I like to believe this is revenge from Celia.
26.
We turn the corner to find Sully worried. Boo is nowhere to be found, but what appears to be her helmet is hanging nearby. He calls out her name and we move back into the factory. Here we find Boo hiding near some trash and Randall looming overhead. But before he can grab her, Mike appears, launching Randall into the trash compactor behind him. The rest of the attraction features Randall being mashed and mangled by the trash compactor, where he emerges at the end in his pure form, a cube. Mike reactivates the lights in the city, and the main characters bid farewell to Boo in what is one of the coolest illusions throughout the entire ride. Behind Mike and Sully is a door that opens into a vast room, but we can clearly see behind the door as we turn the corner. Despite being so effective, this effect is simply achieved with mirrors and clever perspective of the room. These walls here are mirrors that reflect these walls, which gives the impression of a room of impossible size. We turn the corner once more to encounter an interactive audio animatronic of Roz. This Roz works similar to the animatronic found at the end of Monsters Inc. Mike and Sully to the Rescue, where Roz will riff on the guests and make remarks about them. After this, the ride experience comes to an end, and you exit through a gift shop. Despite being similar to the Monsters Inc. attraction found at Disney's California Adventure, many regard this as the definitive Monsters Inc. attraction. It faithfully recreates many scenes and locations from the movie with hyper-realistic qualities. Mark Schirmer, Imagineering executive creative producer, remarked that the biggest challenge revolved around creating an actual city environment, complete with two-way traffic and a space wide enough and tall enough that the buildings themselves were almost as tall as those found on Main Street, USA. He remarked at how many effects they were ultimately able to cram into such an attraction, and honestly, it is a bit overwhelming, but not in a bad way. These blink and you'll miss it effects provide the perfect reason to experience this attraction over and over to truly take it all in. And in true Tokyo Disney fashion, they created a unique character for this ride called Rocky that can be seen multiple times covered in orange fur with their own unique helmet. Reopening after a lengthy refurbishment on the last day of our visit to Tokyo Disney Resort, we thankfully had the opportunity to experience this attraction, and it did not disappoint. You could easily do this ride 3 or 4 times and still experience new things. It does feel strange to not rack up any points unlike Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, but I like that it's not trying to be the same concept and instead attempts something different, which it achieves. It sits with Journey to the Center of the Earth and Pooh's Honey Hunt as a don't-miss addition to the Tokyo Disney Resort. But, over to you. Have you had the chance to experience this attraction, and what are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below, and feel free to leave a like. Your engagement truly does more than you realize. For review time, I'm Dom. Thanks for watching.
Okay. The Tragedy of Waylord. Alright, I'm curious.
Waylord, one of the biggest Pokemon in existence, has had an interesting few years. There are definitely other Pokemon out there that are technically longer and heavier than Waylord, but being based on the largest existing animal in the real world, Waylord is a certified big boy. But you might not know that from the recent video games. There's been a strange fascination with the size of Waylord in 3D Pokemon games ever since Sword and Shield, even though this technically goes back to X and Y. Well, really, we'd better start in Ruby and Sapphire, where Waylord made its debut, a Pokemon measuring about 47 feet or 14.5 meters. This dude is absolutely massive, and even then comes up shorter than a blue whale in our real world. In the original pixel-based games, we never really got to see the sheer size of it. It made sense here because of the smaller system and size of the battlefield to basically just have it the same size as every other Pokemon. These games were always meant to be a little representation of the world of Pokemon because things like the anime would always show just how big a Pokemon really was. And meanwhile on the GameCube, games like Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness had the capacity to represent this Pokemon at its true size. Really, that was the purpose of Pokemon Colosseum, to serve as supplemental material to Generation 3 and allow us to experience battles in 3D on a home console. In the 3DS games, Waylord was still downsized during battles and nothing really manifested from that. Mostly I think everyone had accepted this as a compromise due to hardware limitations and making things easy. Also, I don't think enough people really cared about Wailord, unfortunately, though at least there was that really cool Wailord ship in the Seafold Village. But once the main series Pokemon games had finally made their way to the home console on the Nintendo Switch, Wailord was still small, with Sword and Shield even utilizing giant Pokemon as their core mechanic, and this also being the time everyone started airing every little grievance with Game Freak, Wailord's size was at the forefront of discussion. He must have felt so embarrassed. And I will admit that here it definitely looks the goofiest, because during battle we rotate all around this large battlefield and Wailord barely takes up any of it. We did get to see a full-sized Wailord in the Isle of Armor DLC as an overworld spawn. I feel like this was basically Game Freak saying, okay fine, here you go. But I did really love the Wailord in the Isle of Armor. I think it was so fun, especially seeing everybody's reactions to it. Oh shoot, the Wailord's there. In my copy of Sword version, is the Wailord supposed to respawn? Because I accidentally ran into Wailord in my copy of Sword, and it has never respawned. I've seen some people say that it respawns, but mine has not. Literally after 2 years in Sword, my Wailord has not respawned. Is something supposed to happen? Personally, I don't think Pokemon need to be fully to scale at every point in the game. I'm very understanding of needing the occasional Pokemon to be a little bigger or a little smaller than they usually are. I actually kind of hate that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet uses accurate sizes in the overworld because I can't even see the little buggers half the time and I'm constantly running into them. But in Sword and Shield's battlefield, come on, you could have at least made Wailord taller than a person. It doesn't even need to be full size, just don't make it look like a pool floaty or a huge plushie. Actually, while recording footage for this video, I realized that when you walk around with Wailord in the Isle of Armor, the size is actually bigger than it is during battle, and I think this is a pretty perfect size. It is nowhere near as big as the giant Wailord, but it is still a lot better than what there was before. Even when you Dynamax a Wailord, sure it gets really big, but it's still small compared to other Dynamax Pokemon. Since then, there have been fan-made mods that increase Wailord to its true size during battle as a proof of concept that it could work in the games as is. And I think that's how I would prefer it, having close to accurate size during battles, but not in the overworld because it could handle it. Though Scarlet and Violet is an interesting case, as I mentioned, these games have Pokemon at more accurate sizes, both small and large. So that kind of bodes well for the future, but they also have battles that take place right in the space you encounter a Pokemon or a trainer, so it might get a little weird. I usually have Walking Wake at the front of my party, and that's a pretty big dinosaur, so sometimes the camera gets a little wonky when I enter a battle with wild Pokemon, so I can only imagine how things would be with Wailord. In the past, when the battlefield was a self-contained scene, I could see it happening, in fact it did with Pokemon Coliseum, but nowadays I am not so sure. I mean, the advantage to Wailord is that it floats, so that can always be accounted for. It can always just kind of like float above whatever mountains are in the way, if at all. But if I'm being genuinely honest, I don't think we'll ever see true-sized Wailord aside from being a fixed overworld spawn like in the Isle of Armor. You know, I realize Dondozo is a brand new Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet that is actually kind of close to Wailord. It's not as big as it, but it is like right before it in terms of the size order. In battle and in the overworld, its model is still shrunken down from what it should be in canon, but I think this is still a good representation of what Wailord could look like, because it still gets across the idea that this Pokemon is huge and is a lot bigger than others. The history of Wailord's size has kind of been really weird. I guess in certain games, things really do need to be standardized. I mean, look at Ridley in Smash Bros. Pokemon is that unique case because for a while during the 3D era, the battle format had the space, it just wasn't taken advantage of. But now with the game's changing engines and styles so frequently, nothing remains consistent long enough for Wailord to really make a splash. But again, at least we get to see really big Wailord in all of these spin-off games. We get to see full-size Wailord in new Pokemon Snap, and I think that's really cool. Though a lot of other games like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon or Pokemon Ranger still compromise a bit to make it smaller than it actually should be. And I think that's the best way. It doesn't need to be 100% accurate, just bigger than the rest of the Pokemon. It's a little funny how this really shows the disconnect between creating a Pokemon a certain way for lore reasons, but seeing how that can't always be maintained for particular reasons. There's an entire line of figurines that recreate Pokemon and human characters at 1/20th scale, and they were almost afraid to release the Wailord because it would be too huge and would cost a lot. I find the whole discussion really interesting because while there are people who do genuinely care, I feel like images of small Wailord have been weaponized as anti-Game Freak talking points when, like, trust me, a small whale is the least of their problems. And let's be honest, the worst scale Wailord we ever saw was in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which was made by Ilka. And even though this video was mostly about the whole Wailord scale discussion, I do just want to say that I think Wailord itself is a pretty cool Pokemon. Its notoriety primarily comes from being one of the largest Pokemon in existence, but it just being a cute whale Pokemon is enough to make it a fan favorite throughout the years. I do like that it is one of those gag Pokemon that's often used in media and merchandising in a jokey way, like how it was a tag team card alongside Magikarp, but it's still often treated with respect as a marvel of nature, again like we see in new Pokemon Snap and the Isle of Armor. Those original Pixel games never made it appear as large as it really should have been, but it still held this aura of a huge creature with the sounds that it made and a bit of imagination that the games inspired. I love that it's never really one of those forgotten Pokemon, even though it's really nothing too significant. Though it is a very integral piece of the Reggie Trio puzzle, which again is its own adventure, and I love that so much, so it has a special place in my heart. My stance on the whole thing is that I'm really only bothered by the 3D models. I think it could have just been a little bigger and that would have been totally fine. But let me know what you think about Wailord and how you'd like to see it appear in future Pokemon games, because apparently size matters now. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, especially the Great Gators, Brandon Mork, Cheeseburger Lasers, Green Topaz 213, Justin R, Cosmo Zero, Meme Supreme, Michaela, Mochizuki Yoru, Nomad Nobi, Quago, Taijirai, Volity, and Pastel Blood. If you would like to support, get your name shouted out here, as well as access to emotes for comments, live streams, and sometimes early videos, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter as well for more memes. Anyway, this has been GameRX. I'll catch you all later.
Coming soon to Nintendo Switch, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Catch, battle, and trade never-before-seen Pokemon. Explore a new region and discover more only on Nintendo Switch. Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Games rated E for everyone. Well, the bigger the better, right?
There's always an exception to that rule.
Catwoman. She's had some iconic moments, both with and Catwoman. She's had some iconic moments. Catwoman. She's had some iconic moments, both with and without Batman. This includes inside of comics and adaptation. When it comes to the latter, she's had some interesting canceled or almost were projects. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of those animated outings that never were. Now, while Selena Kyle went on an anime-esque Lupin the Third inspired heist-like outing in 2022 with Catwoman Hunted, decades prior there were plans to try and animate the character that fell through for various reasons. I'm Sasha, this is Casually Comics, and we're in adaptation land today. Like many DC characters, Catwoman has had her ups and her downs. There was even a period where she wasn't appearing during the 60s in the Silver Age, and then she was brought back. She has a very interesting history. Now, the 90s were a strong period for Catwoman. She would get her first ongoing solo series in the comics, and she'd be really brought into prominence in the adaptive world. It was a good time to be Batman in the 90s. There was a bit of an adaptive renaissance thanks to Tim Burton's Batman released in 1989. A film that at the time presented a darker Batman in contrast to the purposeful camp of the Adam West era. Though compared to what would come later, the Burton films may not feel as dark or gritty as they once did, and instead may come across as more comic booky, which were elements that they always had. It was just a darker comic book than the 60s series. The success of Batman would lead to the acclaim the foundational Batman the Animated Series. And that series would have some production overlap with Burton's sequel film, Batman Returns, which would influence some of the characters' designs, Selena Kyle being one of them. Bruce Timm's early concepts for the Catwoman costume worked more on the 60s look, with the cat suit and bells and little cat ears. There were purple accents. Purple was the color that the comic book Catwoman wore a lot. And then, of course, she had dark hair, which would be changed ultimately to line up more with the Michelle Pfeiffer version. Tim was insistent in an interview with Comic Scene magazine that the animated series was not Burton's vision, stating, "This show is absolutely not Tim Burton's vision. In fact, I would like you to put that in print." While it may not have been Burton's vision, there were some things that they had conceded upon to make that kind of synergy work. The character would have blonde hair, as mentioned, and the now full cowl would bear a resemblance to Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. That interview was from 1993, so I imagine there may have been some more comparisons back then, especially because the Burton films would have been so popular, but so was the animated series in its own right. It was quite clear that aside from some design choices and some inspiration taken by some of the voice actors, Batman the Animated Series was blazing its own trail and had a very strong identity and voice that served to maintain even with various WB mandates or restrictions. Batman the Animated Series came out of the gate very strong.
I can only beg your forgiveness, and pray you'll hear me somehow. Someplace where a warm hand waits for mine.
With that said, the popularity of Pfeiffer's Pfeiffer's Catwoman probably didn't hurt the animated series version. That early 90s Ballant run, it doesn't get as much credit as it deserves. People like to make fun of the really skin-tight costume and the boob socks, but there were some strong stories in there. Also, she stands very much on her own in that series, and that doesn't get mentioned quite as much as the costume. It was the first Catwoman costume I ever saw. When it comes to adaptation, the Michelle Pfeiffer portrayal is one of the classics, and it lingered in the public consciousness in a good way. Now, the popularity of Catwoman overall would lead to Fox approaching Bruce Timm and saying that he should do an animated spin-off of Batman the Animated Series with Catwoman. Catwoman Adventures, that wasn't the name. They did get to the concept art stage, but nothing ended up coming of it. Although it does look like some of the costume designs were worked in for the later animation style that was used by the new Batman Adventures. The animated universe would expand eventually into the DCAU, but it would do so by reaching outside the Batman mythos, bringing in more prominent DC characters, starting with Superman. There is an intriguing pitch idea that floats around. It is said that they were also going to pitch a Catwoman/Nightwing animated series at one point, which makes that uncomfortable episode You Scratch My Back make a lot more sense.
Doesn't anybody believe in redemption anymore?
Why come to me?
Who else would give me the chance? Certainly not your boss.
He's not my boss.
Of course not. You're a man now, aren't you?
Stop trying to make Nightwing and Catwoman happen, DC. Leave Dick alone. The DCAU would continue growing strong after its start in 1992 through to the early 2000s. This would include some movies, including very strong entries like Mask of the Phantasm and a more direct-to-consumer fare. As the DCAU wound down in the early 2000s, the direct-to-VHS and DVD entries became less strong. They became less cinematic and more by rote. It was the era of the mystery of the Batwoman, and it is in this period of 2003 that Batman TS alumnum Boyd Kirkland admitted that he had been approached to do an animated Catwoman direct-to-VHS/DVD entry, and he hopped to it, had a whole script made and everything. He stated, "About a year before the Catwoman movie came out, Warner Animation asked me if I would be interested in developing a direct-to-video Catwoman movie to be released in the wake of the live-action feature. I came up with a story about Selena Kyle based loosely on an idea I had while developing another Batman video after Sub-Zero. They liked it and asked me to write an outline, which I did. This, however, was not to be, for the exact same reason it was commissioned in the first place, the 2004 Halle Berry Catwoman movie, the now infamous Catwoman movie." Oh, there's so many clips to choose from, but the basketball clip, it's just a gem. This film has developed a bit of a cult following in some circles. It is fun to watch if you're in the right headspace for a not fantastic movie. It can be entertaining. The 2004 Catwoman movie was the result of years of development hell, and had begun life almost a decade prior as a spin-off to Burton's film Batman Returns, with Michelle Pfeiffer initially attached. But the direction that Burton wanted to go was darker than the studio was interested in. They wanted a family-friendly pivot, which they got with Batman Forever, but even with that, they had to do some editing, because apparently, recently came out time of recording that there's a Joel Schumacher version, and that it adds 49 minutes to the original runtime, and that Kevin Smith has seen it, and that it's a darker version of what was presented. I can believe it was darker. You can see some vestiges of that in Carrey's performance for sure. Also, Schumacher initially wanted to play more with adapting Batman Year One, but that did not fly. And for those who have read Batman Year One, you know it's a pretty dark story. They ended up doing an animated adaptation of that years later. So the version of Catwoman that was floating around initially, something with her going to a resort desert town on her own and having to deal with something there, or an adaptation of The Fall of the House of Usher, was not going to fly. The Catwoman movie then cycled for years, with vague different ideas floating around, some different lead actresses potentially attached, like Ashley Judd or Nicole Kidman at one point, although Nicole Kidman would end up in Batman Forever. And eventually, Pfeiffer could no longer participate because of other work commitments and also motherhood. Ultimately, the Catwoman movie ended up being rapidly pushed through to production because Warner Brothers canceled the Batman-Superman project they had in the pipeline. And so they quickly cobbled together this Catwoman, and they were able to secure Halle Berry because she was coming off another disappointment. A canceled spin-off for the character Jinx from the James Bond film Die Another Day. But that had fallen through, and so they were able to convince her that this Catwoman movie was going to be a big boon for her. She'd be the headline star, it was going to generate all this revenue, Catwoman's a popular character, look what it did for Michelle Pfeiffer. This movie was quite different from your usual Catwoman fare. It was very loosely based on the Batman mythos. The Catwoman in question isn't even Selena Kyle, it's Patience Phillips. It was an original story about this Phillips character and her eventual battle against an evil cosmetics company and her transformation into Catwoman because of Egyptian mythology. Now, all of these changes would filter back to Kirkland while he was working on this animated script. He stated, Warner Home Video decided it had to also include the new Catwoman portrayed by Halle Berry. They sent me the script for the movie so I could see who this new Catwoman was. I had to completely rethink my story, but still managed to retain the central premise. I wrote a complete script which portrayed how these two women meet and discover more about themselves. It delved much deeper into the Egyptian mythology set up in the Catwoman movie. I think it would have been a pretty entertaining video. Too bad the live-action film did so poorly, as that pretty much killed any chance of my script ever getting made. That does actually sound kind of interesting. Now, Warner Brothers never got back to Kirkland about the animated film being canceled, but one can assume that it was. Just never heard about it again. That happens sometimes. It's always interesting to compare what's going on in the comic realms and the adaptive realms at the same time. The early 2000s were a strong period for Catwoman in the comics. Her series was relaunched under Ed Brubaker and Darwin Cook. She got a new and well-received sleek black costume with the zip and the goggles, and she firmly settled into the role of protector of the East End of Gotham. And she was also having adventures more set for Batman at the time, for a bit. But he was around, holding around. So people coming from that, or from the animated portrayal, or the Michelle Pfeiffer version, that 2004 movie would be quite the departure. And when things do so badly, they can harm a studio's confidence in the character themselves. There is a bit of reticence to put them out front and center again. Since the 90s, Catwoman has had solo series in the comic space on and off. There was a boost that occurred in that heyday, kind of perfect storm across media. It helped cement the character more firmly in the mainstream consciousness, for both the more casual crowd and for comic fans. Barry said in 2021 that she would be interested in taking a stab at directing a Catwoman sequel. This because she had recently directed a film on Netflix at the time. She stated, "I would definitely direct the next Catwoman. I think I would redeem myself. As a filmmaker now, I would totally change the story. I would change the characters. I would have Catwoman saving the world from some catastrophe, like male comic book characters get to do." That statement does not fill me with confidence that she grasps the Catwoman character, but mild will vary. Also, did you know that while Halle Berry did show up to accept her Razzie that she was nominated for and won for Catwoman, that's the award for worst performance, she did go and accept it, but she burned it afterwards. One thing is for certain, Catwoman is a long-standing part of the Batman mythos, and has enough staying power to be put out there as a lead. However, when one does that, there does need to be a bit more effort put in. At least until the first really strong standalone, and then it can snowball from there. People want and enjoy Batman, and there is a large fan base for that Bat-Cat dynamic. While that may vary for individuals, it holds true as a general statement. And DC still plays with that. You saw it in the Batman. In Comics Time recording, they're leading up to a Batman/Catwoman war, and hoping that will draw people to the event. And there tend to be ideas that just float around that Catwoman will be a part of. For example, at one point she was meant to feature in a Batman Beyond movie where her son would be the villain of the film, but whatever else was attached to that, it was deemed too dark. She was going to be tied to Terry's origins, where they eventually went with Forever Bitter. While that was too dark, they eventually went with The Return of the Joker instead, the movie that had to have a kid cut and a mature cut because the Joker died so hard in it. Now, we most likely certainly haven't seen the end of attempts at solo Catwoman projects. As mentioned, 2022 saw Catwoman Hunted, that boasted it would forego the Bat-Cat dynamic, but then replaced Batman with Batwoman and had them flirt as well. So those were some canceled animated Catwoman projects that almost were. Would you have wanted to see an animated Catwoman series set early in the Batman TAS timeline? If you were to make an animated Catwoman movie, what would your dream era and concept be? Go wild. Like Danny DeVito writing his Catwoman fanfic comic where his penguin character gets with Catwoman and saves the world from COVID. Just go hard, basically. I want to hear your thoughts. Put them down below. While you're down there, please will you do things like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking time to spend discussing, well, comics and comics adjacent things today with me, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
So I'm not sure why this is not quite slotting together smoothly. And these don't. Maybe that's it. No, is that still okay? If they're evenly out of alignment, then that's okay, but they're not. Evenly out of alignment. That's a sentence. just had pieces in the wrong spot. No, I think is in it. What is happening? It's happening right there. I'll live with it. Okay. And then the beam sabers speak for themselves. They're sabers made of beam energy. Shame we only get 2. That wraps that up basically. I'm going to build the stand. Okay, then wipe this off. Then I'll build the stand and that'll be it. It tells me how to attach stuff. Hopefully you can attach the... So first and foremost, you can attach the shield to the arm, maybe. Oh, there's more parts? Damn. Frame I... Ah! I was not done. Okay, so you can mount the rifle to the underside of the arm with this. And that mounts. Okay. That's a little loose, but it fits. Also, you can put the gun in the hand. And the shield will go with pieces I-24, 22, and 27. Looks like I-21 is a stand adapter. Check. Didn't seem to say that, but I'm going to assume that's what it is for. Oh, yep, there it is. I-21 stand adapter.
Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we're gonna look at Yoasobi and her brand new release. No, it's not brand new, but like I'm trying to get there. I'm late to everything right now. I'm late to my life. So, Yoasobi and her new song, Idol. I was actually very lucky with this one because her live performance of this song came out like 2 days ago. It already had like 2 million views. It's incredible. But we got a live performance to look at together. So I'm excited. Let's get into it.
Okay,
Before we
so that
start,
goes
let
on
me just
the
remind
second
you about
part
my
there.
Patreon because I have quite a lot of Japanese releases there as well. So if you enjoy my reactions and my analysis and you would like to support the channel, I would
Goes
really
there, that
appreciate
goes
it.
there.
The link down in the
And you can
description
stick the
and in the pinned comments. And now without any further ado,
these on the head
Yoasobi
skirts.
Idol. This is exciting. I would love to go on a Yoasobi concert. I've seen her concerts, they're crazy. I have chills. Like imagine what those people feel. Ooh. I love how the stage is built. It's actually kind of platform on the top of the stage as well. I've seen a couple of concerts having this kind of a constellation, but it's incredibly impressive. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I don't think I like this. I really don't like this reaction. I just want to watch the damn performance. And I know I clicked on Vocal Coach Reacts, but I didn't realize she was going to be reacting to a live rendition of it. I'll come back for this. And so that goes in the backpack. Oh, so the ammunition goes. Interesting. You can choose which weapon you want to mount on the backpack. And that is quite heavy for that unit, that position. So there we have Unicorn, not full armored, but as full armored as I'm going to get. And this says be careful when transforming the head. So there it is, got his shield. Nothing in his hands right now. Underslinging the gun, magazines on either hip. You can also store the magazine for this gun on the hip. I'll do that. Just an alternate. Okay, let's get you a picture of you. So I can walk. Does that appear? Oh, there's a toe bend. Okay. That's right, it's for transformation. Okay, it's got a trigger finger. Slight tabs on the inside of the hand to firmly attach the, there we go. go here. Okay, that's a pretty good pose, I think. Or I can sling that under the arm again. Let's see on the back. I get that their options are limited, but that's a very weak mounting point. Not digging that. Can't even reach the dang. Can't even reach all the way to the handle. I guess you just gotta grab it. Was that an elegant way to do this? Have to even simulate that he's grabbed it. Okay, there we go. Of course, that one's weighing down the back panel. Okay, the bazooka goes in the hand like so. Just backwards. No, that's forwards. Let's get some entertainment back up. Sure, let's see this. You're going to attach that hand.
something I want to show you. Meet my big, pink, 10-inch netbook from AliExpress. Why, you ask? If you sort all the new Windows laptops in existence from low to high, the top result will be this. The laptop 10.1-inch Windows 10 notebook computer full HD netbook, mini gaming, mass memory, 3 GB plus 32 GB cheap PC laptop. But what it lacks in having a brand name, or a name at all, it sure as heck makes up for with being pink. So, what happens when you buy the absolute cheapest laptop? We are about to find out. See, here's the thing. As the machine gets cheaper, the computer gets lighter and the screen gets heavier, to the point where the balance is not great. Let's take a look at the manual. Laptops. I feel like this is one of those inspirational posters. What I do get is a surprisingly thorough start guide, though. Things do fall apart a little when we look closer. Touchpad. It's convenient for you to operate the computer.
And this is supposed to be where the
Wow, it doesn't
magazine
like
goes.
charge over either the barrel jack or the Type-C interface. Huh. I wasn't expecting that. I think I figured it out. There's two completely different laptops in here, with two completely different legends for what everything is on them.
Oh, this one's actually right.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. So the touchpad is not convenient to operate the computer. It's operating a laptop easily.
Wow, okay.
Let's see if there's anything else in here. Packing foam and... Wow, they included a mouse? Ooh. Imagine looking at Apple's mouse and thinking, right there, that's the ergonomic design I want.
This was a very cheap laptop, and it never mentioned once that it came with a mouse. That is a huge bonus.
Okay.
Look at that trackpad, that's probably massive.
Yeah, this is probably a pretty big improvement. And to their credit, it doesn't charge from the bottom. The only other thing in the box is our power adapter, which totally makes sense, except also doesn't, because the AliExpress listing shows and mentions micro USB for power. In fairness though, I think I'd much rather have a barrel plug. Micro USB was not made for this. Not gonna hold that against it. What I will hold against it is its truly archaic screen to body ratio. I don't think I've seen bezels this big. For funsies, we calculated it, and it's 59.6%. Wow. With that said, the build quality of it, I mean, it's no aluminum unibody or anything, but it's far from the worst I've ever seen. For context, here's an LG Gram, a machine that costs an order of magnitude more, and it's better, but bigger. But, you know. Things fall apart a little when we get to I/O, though. Starts good. USB 3, I mean, that's not to be taken for granted on a machine like this. A headset jack, micro SD slot for expansion.
Actually, that's an earphone hole.
Sorry, this is an earphone hole?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, did I get anything else wrong?
Actually, that's trans flash, not micro SD.
Okay, that shouldn't matter. Trans flash is just an outdated term for micro SD. Really? Is it not the same? Okay, hold on a second. So we've got a new high-speed, high-capacity micro SD. There's no way. I think it's just an outdated terminology. This is going to work. Wow! Did we have Brandon from the lab check this display?
Yes.
It's really slow, right? My micro SD card totally works. Look at this. Look at these icons popping in. What icon pack is that? Then over on the other side, obviously, we've got our power input, USB 3, again, and then it said it had HDMI, but this is mini HDMI, which is infinitely worse. It is an awful, awful connector. Now, Alex sent me some notes on the keyboard saying, and I quote, "It is surprisingly good." Okay, It's not the greatest thing in the world, but the layout is what you would expect. The keys have a surprisingly long travel, and as long as you don't mind the miniature keycaps, it's not terrible. I'm getting kind of a design for kids vibe.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. As long as it works okay, that seems like the perfect target audience for the cheapest laptop in the world. With that said, it has to work okay, and the trackpad is not as good. The size? I don't mind that much. Given how
It's
small
gonna
this
keep
display
falling
is,
off, isn't it?
I have trouble moving around on it. But the click. I think it could best be described as crunchy. Here, listen to this. If you press too hard on the left click, the right click activates as well. Of course, who needs a quality trackpad when you've got a bonus included mouse? And according to my notes, it is better than I expect.
Yeah.
I'm a little skeptical here.
Mouse is great.
Great. Okay, let's have a look here. 125 hertz polling rate, 25 milliseconds of latency. That's about expected. Adjustable DPI, all the way from 400 to 1600. And is that what this button does?
Yeah.
It has a DPI button. And quantum measuredness?
Yeah.
0.03 and 0.38 for sensor accuracy and precision, respectively. That's actually a really strong result.
Yeah, that's quite good.
This thing absolutely annihilates the Tommy Hilfiger gaming mouse we looked at a little while ago.
And some glorious mice before they updated the firmware.
Sorry, I actually don't know what spin out is.
You know when you like are in CSGO or whatever and you flick the mouse and instead of it tracking, it just like poops itself and your characters go like
Oh, sure. To be clear, we're not saying you should replace your gaming mouse with this thing. Sensor acceleration and spin out are both problems at high speeds like you might encounter in gaming. In fact, you can even see that instead of it moving straight across in a line, sometimes there are outliers way above or below. We're just saying it's a lot better than we expected. The click feel is also awful. Can you even hear it? Ironically, the DPI select button has by far the best tactile feel. Still opening, still opening. How are they going to spy on me? If the camera app can't even open. Wow.
That's beautiful.
I can't tell how much of that is the bad camera and how much of that is the bad pixel response time of the display. Wow, I have aged terribly.
Not the best webcam I've ever seen.
You know, people are always talking about how, like, all the bearded white dudes here look similar, and I never saw it. Until I looked at an image of this webcam. Can't tell the difference. Why don't we talk performance now?
For CPU, there might be two options.
Two options.
Well, the specs have two different ones. Either a Celeron or an Atom, both from about 2016. Which one do you want?
Maybe which one do I want? It's going to be whatever it is here. Okay, I'm checking Task Manager. And it looks like we got the Celeron N3350. That is a dual-core processor with a base speed of 1.1 gigahertz. Wow, that explains why it's been kind of slow. Hold on a second, though. Things are about to get worse. What the heck is 2.8 gigs of memory? How do you put 2.8 gigs of memory in a computer? Alex, do you have an explanation for this? Also, how high is this chip supposed to turbo? Because I don't think it does at all. It does.
There you go.
Okay, she'll turbo to 2 gigahertz.
That's one of the things that I have in my notes. It's like Heisenberg's uncertainty because you can never really measure the laptop.
Hang on, I'm pulling up the RX. The RX is great, Grandpa.
I don't know what's worse, the fact that dragging a Task Manager window spikes the CPU usage to 60%, or the fact that it isn't even trying to render that window preview.
Okay, I did that intentionally because it does speed it up a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What the hell? I think I figured out the memory thing. It's a 1 gig stick and a 2 gig stick. 2 of 3 slots are populated. Also, this is DDR3 memory. And here's another thing. Why is disk 0, the C drive, listed as an SD card?
I don't know that, but it is eMMC, so it is pretty bad, although not SD card bad.
Okay. Oh man, this thing sucks. Given the cost, can we really expect that much? I mean, this is a $24 CPU.
I don't know, you can at least expect updates. This thing will be getting them until September 30th of this year. After that, it's going to
go. Does the CPU need service updates?
Well, like, security updates are nice.
Yeah, especially with all the stuff that's been happening. We have other ideas for stress tests, though. You suggested opening a YouTube video.
Yes.
This is one of the strongest arguments for ad block that I think I've ever seen. Like, you gotta be careful about the kinds of pages you load, because anything, images or autoplay video, they're gonna grind your entire computer to a halt. Are forums light enough? How about LTDstore.com? We got some freshly squeezed deals for you guys on LTDstore.com. You can get a short circuit hoodie for just $29.99, a mystery waffle shirt for $14.99, and mystery cable ties for only $4.99. Get them while supplies last. Oh my goodness, look at this delay. I have pressed enter already. What? Oh, okay. I didn't do anything. I'm afraid shoppers using the laptop, netbook, whatever, are going to have a hard time. Hey, look at that! You can sign up for a notification for when the not-too-edition LTD screwdriver is coming. Anyway, I got distracted. What I'm supposed to be doing is opening up a YouTube video. How about Crab Rave 10 hours?
Perfect.
What could be better?
Should have Task Manager.
Task Manager is probably sucking back 30% of the CPU, Alex. Why you gotta massacre my boy like that? Ooh, how are the speakers? I bet they're funky. That's as loud as they get, huh?
I feel like I've had smartwatches with better speakers than that.
I want to hear the drop first. There's no bass. There's barely bass. Okay, can we do 720p? Yes, we can. Barely. That CPU is turboing like its life depends on it. But will we reach 1080p Nirvana?
I think it's dropping frames.
Wow, that took a long time to full screen. What's the HL button? Windows.
Okay, there's a comparison with the RX-78. Its progenitor.
Yeah. I don't think you can listen to these at higher than about 60% without distortion. And at 60%, I can barely hear it. I really don't think it's dropping frames, Alice.
It looks like it's figured it out.
It's doing 1080p playback.
Damn.
And, in fairness to it, this display is a lot better than the TN piece of crap that you would have found on a machine like this even 3 to 5 years ago.
Yeah, it is IPS.
It's not bright, but
Okay,
it's
and
next
then
is
a
actually usable.
beam saber.
Wait, where do you adjust the brightness?
I haven't actually tried that. On the website, it claims that it is full HD, aka 1080p, 100 Hz, and 16 by 9. How many of those do you think are true?
This doesn't seem to be 16 by 9.
No.
Looks like it might be 1080p.
No.
Oh. Well, it's definitely not 100 Hz. What is the resolution? Is it like 1600 by 900 or something?
1280 by 800.
Really? Oh, that's alright.
Yeah, it's not that bad, I guess.
It's not that big.
10 inches.
That makes a really big difference. And I figured out the brightness. You just have to do it in Windows with the slider. Something that I noticed, well actually our camera operator noticed, is that there's a lot of flicker though in the display, and it changes depending on the brightness, which means that they're using PWM control for brightness rather than DC control. That is archaic and causes flicker and can lead to more eye fatigue.
The actual lab's results for this display are not great. The peak brightness is 244 nits, which they describe as piss poor. It's very blue, 10,000 K white balance, and 79% sRGB, which means particularly your reds are going to be very low.
But with that said, could my kids use this to watch Daniel Tiger?
Yes, it's fine.
Absolutely. In fact, it's probably better than whatever was on a premium laptop 10 years ago.
Or at least like $1,000 laptop, this is much better.
We haven't gotten away from the pixel response time issue though, and in fact, I think that that's probably
Alright, I'm going to transform this into destroy mode, and just kind of show off what I can do, and then I'll go ahead and take a break, and then I'll build the stand, and that'll be our night.
Yeah, it's not great.
I love this in the notes. Alex writes, if the webcam isn't an absolute potato, I'll eat my shoe. We already looked at it. It's more potato than I think either of us could possibly imagine. Now, with all of that said, a slow computer is still a flickering computer. It runs at 2 gigahertz. And we had the idea of, well, hey, maybe playing some basic games on it, like Hollow Knight. Just waiting for that to launch. 1 minute, please.
It won't.
It's not good. Oh, Steam's just not good. Oh, wow.
Read the notes.
Oh. Hollow Knight wanted 3 hours to download because
What
of
the
the
fuck?
CPU being too slow to unpack the files.
Wow.
Oh, I see. It's actually just incapable. This is remarkable. It's at 100% CPU usage. Steam is sucking back 40% of the CPU just to not download anything. Realistically, then, classic Flash games are probably the most you can expect from this thing.
Transformation.
Sadly, those are no longer on the internet, but with the power of Flashpoint Infinity, you can still access them if you have an internet connection. I did not know about this, but I am pretty excited to try this. Let's go. Start Flashpoint. Oh. Visual Studio runtime not found. Install now. This may take a few minutes. Oh, that might take a while. I'm doing it. I'm going left, then right click, then left click again. Has not even indicated it's doing anything yet.
It's been a legitimate problem while testing. Just simply downloading things takes so long that it's difficult.
It's not because it has a really, awful Wi-Fi chipset driver or something like that that sucks back all the CPU, is it?
No, I plugged it in, like, hardwired it and didn't make a difference.
It has AC Wi-Fi though.
Wi-Fi 4?
Modern. No, AC isn't that Wi-Fi 5?
Is it?
I think so.
That's better than advertised, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, so it has a decent Wi-Fi thing, maybe. Yeah.
Alright. Flashpoint Infinity is launched. Here we go. This is it! I love this game! No, it got pulled down off Newgrounds at some point, or addictinggames.com. That's the one. And then I never found it again.
It's back!
Oh, I'm so excited to play! Oh, I was like really addicted to this game.
Tim was talking about how much he loves Flashpoint and Infinity because all the games are just here. They've been saved.
That is so cool. I'm gonna play forever. Man, I haven't seen this loading screen in forever. Wow. The last time I played this game was probably on an Athlon XP. I don't remember it taking this long to load.
I don't know, standards are different back then. Like, you boot up something and it's like go and get a water.
Don't mind if I do. LTTstore.com. Oh, whoa!
You did it!
Whoa, it's running really fast. Okay, the speed that it's running at is super inconsistent, which is making this really hard to play. My fuel is low. I don't remember anything about fuel. It turns out you control the speed of the plane. I don't remember the plane going that fast, though. I'm pretty sure that's not a thing. Oh my god, I can't even tell which ships are Japanese and which ones are American because the display blur is so bad I can barely tell what flag I'm looking at. Wait, yes. Okay, I'm apparently Japanese. Okay, alright, I sank a ship. Down. But hey, at least it has really good battery life, right? Actually, that's not bad. Almost 5 hours of video playback and over 2 hours of stress test.
Yeah, especially from a 19 watt-hour battery, this thing's efficient.
That's a very small battery. Which means I guess it actually doesn't take that long to charge then, even though it only has a 24 watt charger.
Yeah, not bad.
Oh my god, these screws are all different. I wasn't really paying close attention. I don't know where they go. I think it's like this. We've got 3 different kinds of screws out of the first 4 I've taken out.
You know for sure.
5. I am transforming from the bottom up because that's how I do.
Wait.
Gotta do the head last,
Did
it's the
I
law.
say 3 different screws out of the first 4? Because I meant 4 different screws. That's the first 4 screws. They are all different. I'm starting to wonder if this is even intentional. It could just be super loose manufacturing tolerances in the screws. Does this battery even have all the necessary warnings and like safety certification information on it?
No. Also, I think it's larger than expected.
3,000 milliamp hours. What's that in watt hours? 7.6 volts.
That's 22.8. That's higher than we thought.
Yeah, by about 10%.
Not bad.
Not bad. Considering how little is under it, the keyboard flex was less than I expected.
Yeah.
There's literally not... No way. That's an M.2 slot.
What?
You could put an M.2 SSD in here.
That's not an
That is an M.2 slot. It's labeled SSD, smart guy.
There's nowhere to mount it to. It's more upgradable than MacBooks.
That's a little low. That's hilarious. This is about the same cooling you'll find in a MacBook Air as well. MacBook will perform a lot better. Not saying these are equivalent products, I'm just saying. Okay. Thermal pad rather than thermal paste. And they actually left what appears to be Captain tape or a manufacturing peel on the bottom side of the console.
Definitely.
Oh, wait. Yes. So they just didn't bother to manufacture a cooler that doesn't short out the components below. In fact, you can see there are a couple sharp ones that look like they're going to poke through it.
Also, they have this cooler that covers a bunch of other components, but it's not transferring any heat, it's just capped on tape.
Yeah.
There's a third RAM fault, though.
Whatever Windows was reporting, I don't think that's what that Wi-Fi chip is. I thought it said MediaTek something. I don't know what FN link is.
Verdict scribe.
I don't know. They exist.
The cake is almost done.
Actual good products. Not good.
Is it a lie?
Modern products.
Fair enough. Like, we talked about the 3 gig RAM thing, and I said I thought I figured it out, but this is mounted right against the keyboard. There's nothing on the other side of this PCB.
So is this?
That's the RAM.
3 gigs.
Verdict scribe.
What the?
No lies detected.
All that's left
The cake is the truth.
Recommend or not recommend. It comes with an activated Windows license of some sort, so given that it basically comes for free with a copy of Windows, I guess if all you need is a functioning computer at all, it's kind of hard to beat it for the price, but we would strongly recommend something a little bit more functional for a little bit more. This managed a Cinebench R15 score of just 89, which is not an acceptable amount of performance today. For context, an Acer Aspire 5 for under $300 can be had with a Ryzen 3 quad-core CPU, an actual 1080p display, 8 gigs of RAM, and a 256 gig SSD. And that's a real SSD, not eMMC flash. It's not an amazing machine, but we've looked at it before on the channel, and it doesn't have any major weaknesses either. And with a Cinebench R15 score of 902, it could be argued that, even though it's double the price, it is more than 10 times the computer.
There, and then the other face panel here.
We're going to have a link to that down below. In conclusion, it's awful, but also kind of endearing. If you enjoyed this video, maybe check out that dual-screen AliExpress laptop that we checked out recently, where our community actually figured out a bunch of stuff on the forum to dramatically improve it.
Alright, I successfully transformed the horn. Now let's just swap it out with the actual unicorn horn. Or not the
Verdict scribe. Have flamin' hot lemon roulette chips. 1 in 4 chips has extra lemon.
That's a interesting gamble. And there's a dedicated unicorn or dedicated destroy mode horn. That's a little better, just for stability. Okay, pop out those. Put the backpack back on. Let's transform the backpack while we're at it. So a lot is detached. But if you haven't seen this before, I may not have shown it off as well the last time. Here is the backpack in destroy mode. You get 2 extra thrusters. You also get 2 more thrusters beneath the backs of the legs, the calves. So it gets more thrust, more maneuverability. Stick this there. Get in their spot. The leg pieces don't like to, the kneecaps don't like to stay in their designated locked locations. So again, Unicorn Gundam destroy mode. Beautiful. That red psycho frame is clear. Red psycho frame underneath is glorious. Twin beams, beam tonfas. They're called. If you can do that, I don't know why you'd want to use the regular beam sabers when you can do that. That's one of the coolest things I've ever seen on any Gundam, any suit, any robot. Grunagon drills might edge it out, but like, it's a close competition. Well, limited is for what I can do with a fixed ground posture. But I will remedy that shortly by building the stand. That's a very goofy looking pose, I'm going to be quite honest. Yes, it absolutely can still use the bazooka and the rifle in this mode, but it's got access to these beam tonfas, so I might as well use them. All right, so there's a size comparison. In destroy mode, Unicorn is about 2 heads taller than the Granddaddy. Assuming these are in perfect scale, which I mean, I have no reason to believe they aren't. Scale is one of the defining features of the Gundam series. So, Anyway, I'm gonna take a quick break, do a Duolingo, and I'm gonna take a bathroom break, and I'll be back to build the stand. Shouldn't be long, maybe half an hour to build the stand, I'm guessing. So I'll see y'all in about 5-10 minutes. Burb. Alright, that was longer than I expected. I apologize. Let's get back to it. Also, quick housekeeping. I always forget to transform the cod piece on this guy. That's my fault. But yeah, the cod piece lifts out as well to complete the look. So, put him here. Let's take the tonfa off. And I also forgot to show off the that the shield transforms, which you probably knew, but let's just do it anyway. So that comes out, and these flip out. And you've got that nice cross-shaped shield like that. It's a little unstable, like these pieces don't hold on very well. But what you gonna do? This piece also doesn't hold on very well. The thing that's supposed to hold the shield in place. Okay, so there he is with the shield. Shield fully done, and let's give him a beam saber in this hand. You could stay in that hand, that'd be real nice. There we go. I heard an owl. All right, there you go. All right, let's build this stand. Let's move all this stuff out of the way. The ammo packets. The other horns. Hands, okay. 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 Now then, this is a action base number 4. It is meant for 1/100 scale units primarily, which this is. So YouTube up here. I think I saw that one. Yeah, I think I did. Whatever.
Yeah, this is William. Sharks! If there was anything that could compete with my dinosaur obsession as a kid, it was my shark obsession. Growing up in South Florida, I spent a lot of time around the water. To this day, my fondest memories are of seeing sharks when snorkeling or around our boat when fishing. That's right, in an alternate reality, I grew up to be a guy who poses with that fish on Tinder. I just barely avoided it. Sharks are just cool. Have you ever seen a goblin shark?
I would like to. As a shark fan, I was always surfing around the Discovery Channel during the summer, waiting for Shark Week to start, the annual shark-themed programming event Discovery puts out every year. 1 week of just shark content. It's great. Shark Week has aired and produced so much shark programming that really diving into it and tracking down everything Shark Week has aired would be nearly impossible. Shark Week has been going on for over 30 years. It is the longest running annual TV event ever. In recent memory, Shark Week's biggest splash in the pop culture consciousness was when Discovery Channel lied to everyone.
The Caribbean's great this time of year. Spin all around on the bush. Whoa!
Y'all know Megalodon? It's a big shark, like a 60-foot shark that went extinct 2 to 3 million years ago. But in 2013, Shark Week began its lineup with a hoax. Megalodon, the monster shark lives, in which they created fake footage, interviews, and photographic evidence to make it seem like the extinct predator was still swimming in these oceans. So let's talk about Shark Week, its history, and history of controversy, before finally looking at when Shark Week totally jumped the shark and just started making shit up. Actually, you know what, I'm not really sure if I want to talk about sharks today.
Graphics says hello.
Don't get me started about sharks. Discovery Channel launched in 1985 with initial investment from a few holding companies and the British Broadcasting Corporation, who, along with other foreign nature documentary producers, sold Discovery Channel the rights to thousands of hours of nature and other scientific programming that had never aired in the United States before. The first Shark Week came about in 1988 because network executives just noticed shark-themed programming tended to do better, and with a never-ending stream of pop culture, media, and social paranoia about sharks, it just made sense to capitalize on the summer beach season. The first Shark Week program was called Caged in Fear, an Australian production about testing mechanical shark cages. I found a lot of early Shark Week program to be difficult to track down. Apparently, this was only released on VHS in the UK. You can't really understand what made Shark Week without first talking about Jaws. The first host of Shark Week was Peter Benchley, the author of the original novel. Jaws is a movie with a cultural impact that cannot be overstated. It began the trend of releasing big crowd-pleasing movies during the summer season. It's literally the first summer blockbuster. While many film fans can't speak highly enough of this elevated B-movie, the film's impact rippled outside of the film world. It's, quote, the film that still makes audiences afraid to go in the water. To many environmentalists and shark specialists, Jaws is the movie that gave sharks a bad name, which to this day still causes roadblocks to conservational efforts. Sharks, we have to protect them. Sharks are not bloodthirsty animals. They don't attack humans on purpose. Most shark bites are on humans. They're non-fatal, and they're exploratory in nature from the shark's perspective, which, albeit, if your arm gets exploratorily bit off, that still hurts. Are you food? No. Sorry. But you know, you can't blame the shark. Humans pose a massive threat to the survival of many shark species with commercial fishing and the global shark fin trade, which literally sees the shark being removed from the water, having their fins cut off, and being thrown back into the sea to die. Shark Week's programming is very much in the shadow of Jaws.
Shark Week's back.
Shark Week had the reputation of violent and sensationalistic content with a lot of graphic reenactments of real shark attacks. This peaked in 2002 when Shark Week crews got lucky when one of their researchers they were filming got very unlucky and had his calf bit by a bull shark. The first time Shark Week ever aired footage of a real shark bite.
Shark eats a lot of different things, and it's going to test a lot of things, and the way it tests things is it bites.
And although the aftermath is very graphic, like this dude will look like a torn up wet paper towel in about 15 seconds. That's just a sweet little curious shark, remember? We go into their habitat, not the other way around. It's not their fault they got a bite force of tear your leg open. Shark Week's pursuits of killer sharks isn't always reflective of reality. Nothing illustrates this better than Shark Week's very own top 10 deadliest sharks. The punchline? They couldn't even come up with 10 sharks that have killed people. Half the sharks on the list have not been responsible for a human fatality. That's not to say that Shark Week hasn't aired or produced good programming. During the second Shark Week The Revenge, Discovery was already airing programming which tried to rehabilitate the shark's image. Early Shark Week content also included programming like The Man Who Loves Sharks, which wanted to look at sharks as something other than just vicious eating machines. After all, sharks do not spend most of their time eating, meaning that focusing on attacks and their ability to kill is just a small sliver of their lives. And if you're producing like 10 hours of content a year, shouldn't you expand out on what you focus on? I mean, albeit the most visually spectacular moments of their lives are when they're killing things, but they do other things. In the past 20 years, Shark Week's most famous programming has been their Air Jaws special, which solely focused on the ability of sharks, specifically great white sharks, to breach out of the water to attack their prey, a maneuver called a Polaris breach, which these specials always remind you of. Since 2001, when the first Air Jaws special aired, which captured a world record shark jump, there have been 10 Air Jaws specials. You can say Discovery has been jumping the shark for years. Who would win, Air Jaws or Air Bud? I was never really a fan of the Air Jaws specials. My favorite were the Mythbusters episodes, where they tested out several myths spawned from the Jaws movies. I also really like the doc they aired in 2005, Shark Hunter, Chasing the Great White. It's about the real-life sports fisherman who is the basis for Captain Quint in Jaws. Frank Mundus. It's a reflective piece as Mundus looks back on his life only a few years before his death. You can really tell he has a deep care for these animals, acknowledging their beauty and wonder, and even expressing sadness about killing them for his chartering business. But of course, the documentary gives him the opportunity to interact with these creatures one last time without harming them. His chartering business had to close due to the decline of shark populations as a result of the rise in global fishing and finning industries. I also really love the special on prehistoric sharks from 1998, which is included on this DVD set I had. They hire a nature artist to create paleo art based on the remains of prehistoric shark teeth. His designs are way off from what researchers suspect they may have actually looked like, but it's also really enlightening because it explains how speculative paleo art can really be. Sharks are made mostly of cartilage.
Sharks don't have a single bone in their body.
So the only fossilized remains that have been found are teeth and vertebrae, which can give really valuable insight on where the shark lived, what it ate, when it was alive, and how big it was, probably. But it leaves a lot to the imagination about appearance. Also, the special was released on video now, meaning you can watch this on an airplane or something. However, starting in 2012, Discovery really wanted to turn over a new fin. Put a lot more focus on conservational efforts and current innovations in scientifically based shark research. At the time, Discovery was making connections in Washington-based environmentalist circles and trying to recruit a lot of new talent and even financially support research to give legitimacy to Shark Week's programming consistently. 2012 Shark Week is a really interesting year for the network. For its 25th anniversary, Shark Week was hosted by none other than Philip DeFranco. I'm not even kidding.
Yes, that is the right way to start off Shark Week.
At this time, his production company was owned by Discovery, but that's not what's important. What's important is Discovery needs a new social media personality named Billiam to host Shark Week. The programming in 2012 featured such shows as How Jaws Changed the World and Shark Fight, which isn't about any group of shark attack survivors, but a group of shark attack survivors attacking back, who are now fighting for the conservation of sharks. I just realized the way I wrote that makes it sound like they're fighting the sharks again. No, they're fighting on behalf of the sharks. Great White Highway is about the day-to-day activities of the great whites living off the coast of California. And in the interest of revitalizing the shark's image, Mythbusters counted down and explained 25 myths associated with sharks. While there was still a strong focus on entertainment with 2012's programmings, there was also shows like Air Jaws Apocalypse. And the year ended with Shark Week's top 25 bites.
The following clip is graphic to say the least and may be disturbing to some viewers.
is why it's awesome.
2012 definitely had stronger themes of education and conservation. While there were good signs of the future of Shark Week's reputation, over on the Discovery Channel's own sister network, Animal Planet, things were getting a little weird. In May of 2012, Animal Planet famously aired its fake mermaid documentary, which took on the style of an expose about a team of scientists, played by actors, who supposedly discovered mermaids. It featured a speculative take on how mermaids could have evolved, alongside dramatized scenes of the species explained to be aquatic apes' survival. While the story does seem like it could be presented in good fun, the sketchy part comes from the fact that it tries to deceive the audience with fake recordings and historical evidence, which is totally designed to look real and designed to undermine skepticism to the hoax they were trying to create. This was a hoax. People believed it. Oh no, it's Megalodon, the mermaid! It sacrifices itself nobly to the great shark, because that discovery would sacrifice its credibility to it the very next year. It needs to be fed. It still doesn't taste like shark. In the same style as the Mermaid special, Megalodon, the Monster Shark Lives is an hour-and-a-half show in which Discovery Channel lies to you for an hour and a half. Although there is a disclaimer at the beginning, it's vague, and what they don't tell you is literally everything in this story is made up. Alright, so Colin Drake is a shark researcher who's played by an actor investigating the sinking of a small fishing boat off the coast of South Africa in Shark Alley, a real location where many large predatory sharks congregate to hunt seals. While Drake is initially searching for the legendary monster shark, known locally as Submarine, which is said to grow over 30 feet long, the fact that the sunken boat was bit in half,
There was no way a whale did this.
leads him to believe that it was none other than Megalodon, who has returned to bite a boat in half.
Renowned marine biologist Colin Drake and his team of ocean specialists have launched a global investigation into the incident. But is Drake's theory correct?
No.
Is the deadly predator they're looking for Megalodon?
Drake's team is skeptical of his explanation. After all, it's widely believed Megalodon went extinct 2 to 3 million years ago, but his team supports him anyways.
I'm still definitely thinking great white here.
I'm thinking it's Megalodon.
So they set up some elaborate camera and sonar setups to attempt to lure the shark out of the waters, a process which Discovery Channel crews apparently has exclusive access to.
Over a 1-month period in April of 2013, Discovery Channel cameras had exclusive access to Colin Drake and his team.
Yeah, if I made up some I'd have exclusive access to it too. Alright, for all you baby brains that were complaining I was only drinking White Claw, here, I'm drinking a beer. Are you happy it has marginally more alcohol than the White Claw? I hope your baby brain is satiated. Today, Megalodon is not only a prehistoric shark, it's a cryptid. I gave a bad definition for cryptozoology last time around, so let's improve it. Cryptozoology is the study of animals that currently do not have widely accepted hard proof to exist. Many of these creatures, and pretty much all of the popular ones, are believed by the wider scientific community to not exist at all. Megalodon existed, and based on what vertebrae and teeth samples that have been found, scientists have a pretty good idea of what Megalodon ate. A lot of whales. The remains of its teeth and its prey and its teeth in its prey give us a pretty good idea of how big Megalodon may have gotten. While there are many contributing points that are attributed to leading to Megalodon's extinction, including lowering global temperatures, new land boundaries forming in Megalodon's habitat, and competition from more modern, smaller, fuel-efficient sharks, the real reason scientists believe Megalodon is definitely not still hiding somewhere out in all that ocean is for a few good reasons. The ocean is big. Look at all that ocean. Just kidding. This is a gulf. But you believed it was an ocean because there's just so much ocean on the planet. 70% water this planet is. Obviously, stuff we haven't even ever thought of is down there, such as Mothman and his cute little submarine. Megalodon, the monster shark lives, uses ocean big as one of its primary arguments. It points to recent discoveries like the mega mouse shark and to many Lazarus taxon species like coelacanths and pygmy right whales.
In fact, this whale is a species that Megalodon preyed on.
Maybe Megalodon high too? Where are you, Megalodon? Ultimately, the next question then becomes if Megalodon is just hiding deep within the ocean, what does Megalodon eat? And where's the evidence that it's eating it?
Improbable.
Maggie hung out around coastal waters. So much of its teeth are found on land today that formed over waterways it swam for only a few million years ago. It's not that there aren't magnificent and even big creatures waiting to be discovered in the Earth's oceans. It's that the claim that one of those creatures is a 40 to 60 foot long predatory fish that feeds on some of the largest organisms that ever lived on this planet and have been doing so undetected is a pretty big leap in logic to make. But who knows what kind of leaps Airjaw's Megalodon could do. Holy shit! However, what sets this special apart from something like Monster Quest, which also did a Megalodon episode, is the fact that Discovery Channel fabricated the stories, the evidence, and the events of their expedition for the ultimate goal of creating a hoax for the sake of high ratings, and it worked. Oh my god. It's flat. At this point, Discovery had done their experiment with their Mermaids documentary. It did numbers, and the follow-up special to the Mermaid doc that aired right before Shark Week 2013 did even bigger numbers. They knew exactly what kind of reaction this was going to get, but they also knew it was going to be a rating smash hit. If I could make money by making people mad, I would. No, I wouldn't. I hate it when people are mad at me. So Colin wants to prove Megalodon exists, but his pal doesn't believe Megalodon is the culprit. They go through poorly photoshopped photos, which ultimately reveal the career-killing photo of Megalodon with his good friends, the Nazis. Holy shit, it's just like that episode of The Twilight Zone where Hitler has a giant shark. They just assassinate this shark's character.
That first hunted our oceans around 17 million years ago, eating anything and everything in its path with extreme prejudice.
You're gonna say, without prejudice? Why are they trying to portray Megalodon as this hateful Nazi-affiliated creature?
Learn more about it so that we can stop it before another attack happens.
Oh no! Megalodon is going to murder people!
The serial killer of the seas.
We did it! Megalodon was a mean guy. They gotta paint Megalodon as a big villain to give urgency to Colin and his crew's expedition. They're going up against a real bad shark here.
The behavior of one of the creatures behind this seems to be operating completely from its own rules.
Alright, first we had no rules pterodactyl. Now we have her buddy. No rules Megalodon. This guy's still partying 2 to 3 million years after he went extinct. Hell yeah. Something that really throws me off is how much they leverage Discovery's reputation in this special.
These images were filmed by Discovery Channel's crew on the night of April 23rd, 2013.
I mean, this is the same company that brought us Animal Cops Detroit. They mentioned in 2012 Discovery did in fact capture and air the first footage of a giant squid, which was big news.
The giant squid.
This isn't even the real giant squid they captured. This is. I don't know why they're showing you a different one. The narrator keeps stating Discovery has gained exclusive access for the footage of Colin and his team. Like they want you to know this is a project of Discovery. All for the sake of perpetuating the hoax of Big Shark. It's wild. Yet I think one of the worst offenses of this special is just how boring everything is. They have interviews with people who supposedly saw Megalodon, but if Shark Week was ever going to bring out an overdramatic dramatization of a shark encounter, it should be here. Like we get the Nazi photo, but why not like a flashback to the interaction with actors? Like, you know, the fake boat attack also at the beginning. We only get a bunch of shaky camera footage, and they're like, it was Megalodon. That boat was shaking. Footage we're shown of the CGI shark is deliberately obscured.
Underwater footage.
The shark is computer animated, but we never see it for too long, and sometimes we don't see it at all, unless it's one of those photoshopped pictures.
Is a shark big enough to take down a whale?
We're talking about a giant shark. There's been a 50-ton monster in these waters for over 70 years. That thing is enormous.
The Mermaid documentary, I hated it so much, but I loved it. This is just so boring. Even when they're in the water, all the real sharks are also animated. That's not what Discovery's for. It's like this and the whole Mermaid documentary are based around a few viral clips they commissioned to perpetuate the hoax online, alongside their weird shit posts posed as historical evidence, surrounded by a whole lot of nothing. But the Mermaid doc just has a lot more going on. The hoax side of it is bad. but it has to do so much more legwork to convince the audience of its claim that it ends up being bold in a way. Like a lot of bad documentaries, so much of the runtime is padded by repeating the same idea over and over again to sink it in the head of the audiences because they realize there's not really much to their argument. Now it tastes like sharks. It's really flat, but it tastes like sharks finally. At one point, they're discussing how the surfacing of the Strait of Panama 2.8 million years ago would have cut off Megalodon's migratory and hunting patterns, restricting movement between the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. They go on to explain that Megalodon could have adopted new hunting patterns going down the coast of South America to travel back and forth between these two large bodies of water. A big piece of evidence is a whale that was bit in half and washes ashore. Gross. This also isn't real. The timeline of the fake sightings confirms this migratory hunting pattern. I gathered this concept the first time they say it, but then they go on to explain it over and over again for 5 minutes straight. There's even an ad break in between it all. So if you were watching this live, it's just like 2.5 minutes of, the shark goes down the tip of South America and up back into the other side of the ocean to like a Charmin commercial to just them explaining that again for 25 minutes straight. It was 10 minutes straight. The climax of the film sees Drake's crew deploying a 5-mile wide chum slick to attract Big Shark Jones. They also use a decoy the size of a whale. Seal-sized decoys are often used by Discovery to get sharks to breach out of the water. So big shark, big decoy. Okay, I can follow this. Everything is big, except the boat, so there's big tension.
You come forward. You see?
They send some divers in the cage, including Mike, but no worries, he doesn't believe in Megalodon. There's tons of sharks attracted to the chum slick, but they all run away from something. They lose contact with the crew in the cage, including Mike, who's still skeptical of Megalodon. Mike, come in, you guys hear me? The crew returns and Mike, well, he believes in Megalodon now. They even got some more shaky footage of it. Is Megalodon still out there? Well, Colin Drake seems to be convinced, and now Mike is too. Apparently, Discovery Channel conducted a poll which stated 71% of viewers were also convinced by the fake evidence. But who knows what kind of polling methods they used. When it aired, I never finished watching the Megalodon documentary. I turned it off when I realized what they were doing, and I was ridiculously disappointed with what they were doing. I mean, Megalodon is dead. I was there when it happened. You can't tell me I wasn't. You weren't there, but I did try to watch Shark Week the very next night when they aired Voodoo Sharks. Holy shit! Voodoo Sharks is supposedly about a mythical monster shark that lives in the Louisiana bayous called the Rukin. This caused even more controversy for Discovery, although it was overshadowed by Megalodon's 40 to 60 foot shadow. While they interview a team of fishermen trying to locate this mythical beast, they also filmed and interviewed real shark researchers doing unrelated work off the coast of Louisiana who had no clue about what this documentary was about.
Go send me some data. Ow! That's what I call a successful night right there.
Why am I getting Instagram updates?
Back on the mighty Mississippi, the Cajun team camps out for the night.
Tell us the story, Uncle.
When the final product came out, the show was edited to make it seem like the researchers also believed in the Rukin, and that both the team of fishermen and the team of researchers were both racing to find it. And to round out Shark Week 2013, Discovery aired another masterful piece of shark sensationalism. Great White Serial Killer, which tried to argue 2 shark attacks that occurred 2 years apart on the same beach was actually the job of the same shark, who's a shark serial killer. Well, Discovery was slammed in the presses and on social media for the hoax. They proudly announced Shark Week 2013 as the highest rated Shark Week year ever, which was great because Animal Planet had its most successful program in 2013, Mermaids: The New Evidence, a sit-down style interview follow-up featuring characters from the original documentary from a year earlier.
I'm John Frankel. Join me tonight as we revisit the controversy and investigate how the story has progressed over the past year. We'll show you extraordinary new evidence that's come forward.
Which is why in 2014 it was no shock when Shark decided to do it all over again with another interview-style show, Megalodon: The New Evidence, with the return of Colin Drake.
Good evening, I'm Emmett Miller. Is it possible that a prehistoric shark, measuring 70 feet long and weighing 50 tons, is still roaming our oceans today.
The fact Discovery did this twice blows my mind. I glossed over the mermaid follow-up in my Animal Planet video just because I knew they did the exact same thing again. So let's look at how both are similar.
Now, in his first public interview since Mermaids the Body Found, I sit down with the scientist who brought this story to worldwide attention. Dr. Paul Robertson, welcome. Thank you. I'm John Frankel.
Alright, so you claim that you found additional leads in this past year that actually say that Megalodon still exists. Yeah, I have. Alright. I'm Evan Miller.
Both specials see the central character return 1 year later to re-examine the original TV special, debate critics of their claim, and to show off the, quote, new evidence.
You realize, of course, critics are going to point out that Megalodon disappeared from the fossil records 2 million years ago.
Yeah. But you know, most of it's just more computer animated footage made to look like amateur video. These are just some of the most surreal pieces of TV I've ever seen. The style of it all is just so dull and boring, like it feels real.
Some more evidence coming up next, is that correct? I do. All right. We'll get to that in just a second. First, Mr. Skelton, thank you very much for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, you bet. Because it's too dull and boring to be fake, even the footage they show you. Except for this one.
Noticed something out in the water. Okay, kind of a speck. Yeah, well, you have to show the vision to speck. When they zoomed in, though, they got this. It's a little fuzzy, but I'd say that's a shark.
Though, in a way, I do prefer these to the original shows. For one, they're only 45 minutes compared to the hour-and-a-half runtime of the original two specials, but also they just pack it in with ridiculous moments. If you know it's a fake, you can just sit back and appreciate the total bullshit of it all. Government's trying to cover up the existence of mermaids was a pretty big part of the mermaid doc, so they have to slip it in the megalodoc now too. The South African government rejected Colin Drake's findings and have now been working to suppress his voice and create their own explanation for the event. I love the debates, specifically because they're set up to make whoever doubts our main character's claim to be an idiot, because they place the fake footage and the fake evidence over their more grounded explanation, which is never the footage is fake, it's all animated.
This is a seal.
They're like, oh, that's not a mermaid, it's a seal.
This is a seal.
I trust the public will accept the findings of the marine biologists who reviewed this footage and still command the respect of their peers.
Paul, any response to that? I'm John Frankel. I'm curious what marine biologists would actually believe that's a seal.
The critics are also actors, and they never come out and accuse the footage and photos of being fake. They always just provide a more rational explanation, when the most rational explanation is this is not real to begin with.
First off, I'm Emmett Miller.
Well, it was our considered opinion that Mr. Drake was not properly following the evidence.
And why do you say that? I'm Emmett Miller.
We brought in some third-party scientists to examine all the data independently. The incident was perpetrated not by a shark, but by a lone orca. We do greatly respect Mr. Drake as a scientist, but at this point in time, we are satisfied with our own conclusions.
I'm sitting here editing the day before this video comes out, and I just want to illustrate how boring these shows are. So this interview with the South African environmentalist official is 4 minutes long, and I cut it down to about 30 seconds. And all the important information just boiled down to 30 seconds when it was originally stretched out to 4 minutes in the original special.
Yeah, I think he's just a politician playing politics.
I love the goofy charisma of the guy in the shark follow-up.
Seems as though that presents you with a bit of a conundrum now, doesn't it? Yeah, huge. Unless Megalodon can swim from Brazil to the middle of the Indian Ocean in 5 days.
I highly doubt that was the answer to my question.
But I would imagine you do have an answer.
These two appearances are two different Megalodons.
Okay, that's a pretty huge claim.
Yeah, it's very huge.
However, the mermaid follow-up spends more time debunking hoaxes that popped up in association with the mermaid special popularity directly.
Well, I mean, I think I can go on record and say that this one's probably fake. So even Dr. Paul Robertson doesn't believe everything he sees. No.
They're like, we're not fooled by this hoax, so this one's more real. There's this one moment in the Megalodon follow-up that is just so confused in its intentions that I can't help but to tell y'all about it. So they bring in a supposedly real paleontologist to give real explanations for why Megalodon is believed to be extinct. They even bring up a fossil, which is incorrectly dated to be 10,000 years old, and they take the time to explain why the dating technique used for the tooth leads many to reject the claim of it being only 10,000 years old. But none of this matters, because supposedly our friend here has a Megalodon tooth that's brand spanking new. So when they describe the dating technique that yielded those results as controversial instead of incorrect, and then present this fake new piece of evidence, the brand new tooth, the conclusion the audience is led to believe is that the 10,000-year-old date was correct, and that any expert testimony on the subject is just worthless. Each documentary also creates a call to action for real-world problems. The Mermaid documentary draws attention to U.S. Navy sonar testing that is harming real-world marine mammals. And the second talks about how Megalodon can be coming out of hiding because of global warming. It's implied a second shark is swimming around the ocean, and we even see a baby Megalodon, Babylodon. The warning: if global warming continues, this giant Nazi shark will make a comeback. 2014 Shark Week also included a more grounded story about submarines, a giant shark believed to live in Shark Alley that is only 30 feet long, and another voodoo shark type story involving a monster-sized hammerhead reported to be over 70 years old and really big. Once again, Discovery repurposed interview footage with real researchers, which made it seem like they believed in the preposterous story. While Shark Week had often sensationalized the truth for dramatic TV content, the line that these programs crossed put Discovery straight into the hoax category, and arguably, it's a reputation that they have been fighting off for a while. The Shark Week program wasn't the only thing they were doing at this time that was sketchy. In early 2015, Discovery also aired a program called Eaten Alive, where a man was going to do a stunt where he was eaten alive by a big snake, but the program aired and he wasn't eaten alive by a big snake. However, despite the rating success, Discovery made another change back to more science-backed programming in 2015. While Shark Week will probably never fully shed its sensationalized takes on shark attacks fully, the channel has toned down on dramatized reenactments, with education being brought much more into focus. In fact, in 2018, Discovery aired a special dedicated to debunking the Megalodon hoax they created, with real shark and Megalodon researchers at the focus.
There are no Megalodons.
Sometimes Shark Week airs really high-quality programming, and other times it's sensationalized garbage or innocent fun, like when they bring on Michael Phelps to race a shark or Mike Tyson to fight a shark, apparently. Mike Tyson, you cheated! You had a professional shark wrangler helping you! That'd be like if I beat somebody at boxing with the help of Mike Tyson. But also, since 2013, they have made 3 sequels to Great White Serial Killer. Quite honestly, I think if there's anything to be taken away here, it's that Discovery Communication is in fact a corporation who will make content that appeals to a wide variety of people. Sometimes they're going to portray sharks as violent killers, and other times they're actually going to sit down and try to educate their audience. Hey, whatever gets people to watch more sharks. Shark Week 2021 is only a few weeks away, and I hope this year they're able to find a way to create entertaining and engaging content without sacrificing educational value, and while keeping up the shark's good name. These guys, they're alright. Hello, Discovery Channel Inc. Currently, you and Warner Brother Media are trying to merge, and in the midst of all that corporate restructuring, I think it would be the perfect opportunity to have a messy and confusing choice for the next host of Shark Week. That's right, I'm announcing my candidacy to host Shark Week whenever Discovery Channel will have me. As a D-list YouTuber, I don't command an expensive price, but your audience doesn't have to know that. For all they know, I'm the coolest guy on the internet. So if you're interested in a new era of Shark Week, I have the energy Discovery Channel needs. Or at least I'll have the energy when Discovery Channel needs me to have it. I promise. Until then, I'm tired. I'm stressed. I'm gonna go get some sleep.
Specific spot it's supposed to attach to. Let's see here. I want some Action Base 1. Action Base 4 is made for 1/100th as well. I have the Action Base 1. I don't like this adapter piece. That fits. And that fits it. It's just too long, I think. Which does recommend cutting down, so. I think maybe didn't need such a fancy action base. And it says you can split this up and display them each on their own thing, which I guess is technically true. Let me see what I can pull off here. So then not an attachment, I would need more of these. Wasn't there another one of these? Yes, there it is. Okay. So I can do that with that. That unicorn. Let me get you facing this direction. This is what you can pull off. Okay, this can about done here, my little diorama. Almost done. Let me just put this here. For this. Let's see if we can get old Grandpa more grounded. And Unicorn needs to be up in the air. I'm not liking it, so there's not a good spot to, not easy to mount this shield on you. Piece came off again. Where did it land? There it is. Just not tapping this hand? Interesting. Alright. Stay attached. The wrist. I don't like this limp wrist. And then I've got a little extra arm here. That can be used to support this gun. Just gonna kind of figure it out, I guess. Not exactly anywhere I can put it. I'm just goofing around at this point, if I'm being honest. Not gonna accomplish much. There's not any place I can stick it. So I just gotta make do with what I've got. That's a much more marching pose. All right, I realize you can't see this very well from below, and I can't really move my camera. Well, I guess I can. No, so it's gonna. All right, you're about to get real dizzy. I apologize. Okay. So here is my display. Let me turn this off. Here's what I built up here. Facing, they're marching this way. Grandpa has the beam saber drawn, the shield at the ready. Whereas Unicorn's got the rifle up to provide cover fire. And that's what I got. That's my little display here. This has been a fun build. I'm gonna have to work out how to pose this dude. It's got so many options, so many parts you can use. It's been a fun build. I just said that. But yeah. Honestly, the stand has been the worst part of it. I'm not good at posing, I'll be honest. I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll take some pictures. I always say that. I've posted a couple of pictures. But anyway, next week, I don't know, honestly. Or actually, probably won't do something tomorrow. I don't know. Saturday's still supposed to be the primary build day, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got a growing build pile over here. If I go in order, it would be Kuga, the Tri-Chaser, then Genobreaker, and the Fifth Thorn I got the same day. Fifth would be like one night build. Everything, all the small boxes should be one night builds. I've got the Mini Plaw King Odra set 2 over there. I may or may not actually build that until I can confirm what the SP01 set is that they're releasing, if they're in that. And then of course Genobreaker, probably going to build that on or after my birthday. I don't know, I could save Cougar for my birthday, I don't know. Yeah, so I've got a couple more pieces on order. I think I've got a package to pick up. I don't know what. I've got a package to pick up from the post office tomorrow. It may be Transformers or it may be models. I don't know. I don't know the contents. But anyway, no shortage of stuff to build. Next time I build, it'll probably be Kuga, but it might be another Gundam. Just watch and find out. Until then, put this here. Until then, I have been King Kuga. Thank you for coming to my stream. I do stream builds theoretically every Friday, every Saturday. Every other Sunday I do movie nights, and then once I get a new computer rig, I'll go back to free play Fridays. Other builds other streams when I feel like it. Thank you for coming out. Follow me on Twitch, YouTube. If you know me on Facebook, follow me there. Have a great night.